All right, welcome to episode 256 of the Current Gen podcast. It's time to wrap up 2024. I'm sick of 2024. Let's stop talking
Wrap it
about
up.
it. Let's wrap this thing up.
And after this, we're never allowed to talk about it again.
Nope, not revisiting it. If there's a game that released that year, do you want to play or talk about? Don't tell us about it. Okay, I don't want to hear it. Obviously, being sarcastic, I'm excited to celebrate last year. It's been a really fun time of revisiting all the greatness that was 2024, the highs and the lows. We actually haven't really focused in on the lows. Kind of purposefully didn't say like, hey, what's your least favorite? What sucked the most? Like we didn't really dig into that. So that way the negativity is few and far between. Actually, most of the negativity is around, hey, let's nitpick some excellent games in order to rank them. Like that's pretty much all the negativity you're going to get from us on this one, in my opinion.
I don't know. We could maybe carve out 30 minutes for how great Suicide Squad was. I think
we could do that. we could do that.
Hey, listen, anybody can experience it right now on PlayStation Plus. So I mean, you know,
it's literally always on sale for like $3. So yeah, give it a grab.
I actually had an idea that I didn't prep for, so we can't do it. I had an idea for most overpriced game of 2024. We were going to talk about the games that were priced too high based on like the value you got for them, but I didn't do it. I was too negative. I was trying to keep it P. I feel like
let's do that for the next episode.
I feel like at this time in this world, we need positivity out there. You know, we need positivity. So we are going to rank our favorite overall games of the year. If you've been following along with these episodes, this is part 4 because of the way we split the last episode in half. It just went super long and it made sense to split it. But if you've been following along, you probably know roughly where we're going to land with most of these. You probably could even predict it just as well as we could if you've been listening along. But we're still going to do it because it's fun to rank these things. And then we're actually going to close out with music. That way we can circle back on whatever disagreements we may have had or fights we may have had, which I don't think we're going to have.
We cleanse the palate with music.
We cleanse the palate with some music because we're not going to rank the music. We're just going to like a little jam session to close out the podcast episode.
Actually, also, I remember you mentioning, and maybe we don't have time for it, but I think you had said at some point too, like maybe like favorite 2024 things, like some stuff that we watched in 2024.
If there's anything in 2024 you want to celebrate, we're going to do that as well. Probably between those two. I think we'll do some news. There's some recent news that we got to talk about there that are worth mentioning at least. And then we'll jump right into the overall game ranking while we're fresh, while our minds are kind of still with it before we kind of start to fade. And then we'll do any other favorites you want to highlight from the year, and then wrap it up with some music. So I know there have been some new games released, and I failed in my assignment to write those down. So have you guys been playing anything new that you want to call out before we jump into all this other stuff that's happened? Anything 2025 or last few weeks maybe that has released that you want to call out?
I did play some Dynasty Warrior Origins. When I say some, I mean like 18 hours.
Yeah, you did.
That game is awesome. I think I made the joke in chat, and we're not going to spend too much time on this, but I made the joke in chat. I was like, my poor swimming out of 7s game is a good game now, and I don't.
Yeah, it's like an 8. What the heck?
Yeah, I don't know what to do with that.
Hey, it made it. It finally made it.
Woohoo!
So very good. Like it a lot. They added a lot to it. I've never been so impressed with seeing so many like people on the screen at once. Like it's absolutely insane. So yeah, I like Muso games, and that's fun. And it's telling a really the story of the Yellow Turban Rebellion, which is kind of what kicks off the whole 3 Dynasty thing in that culture. So very cool. I like it a lot.
So that's what's happening at the beginning. They're like these warlords are gathering. So
yeah.
For a little bit.
The Emperor, and I think that level is like way later in the game because like that is
like the beginning.
That is the Dong Zhuo like rebellion where he like enlists like Lu Bu and like they're vying to like take over because like the Emperor's dead and like all the 3 kingdoms want to like.
They seem to have propped someone up as the leader, but no one really thinks he's the real leader. That's what it seemed like in the demo. I was like, ooh, this is interesting.
Is the guy who holds the Mad Dog's like leash, Lu Bu is really the most like comically the most powerful. I don't know if he's that powerful in real history to be fair, but
absolutely.
Yeah, he could just kill 1,000 people. Very fun though. And I've also been playing an early access game called Tokyo Extreme Racer, which is an old PS2 era racing game.
Oh, that's fun.
Niche, so niche. Nobody knows what this game is.
I googled after you said it, and I was like, "Oh, I recognize the cover art." Like I remembered.
Probably saw the cover.
This is quite a few of them, actually.
There were, yeah. And it's all about highway racing. It's the highway racing culture in Japan. All the cars are like mid 80s to like mid 2000. Like it's like the when I cared about cars. So basically every car that you would ever see in the anime Initial D, like is in this game. That is the golden era of like street racing and stuff like that. So lots of 240 SXs, lots of Sylvias, lots of Skylines, lots of Supras, everything but Hondas. They couldn't get that license for Honda. It is in early access though, so I'm sure they're going to secure more licenses. They're going to add more stuff to the game. This is the most well put together early access game I've ever played. Not a single crash, not a single glitch, not a single init. I've never experienced like Baldur's Gate 3 glitched out more than like an early access in this game did. Like I've experienced none. So fun game. It's a good time. Shocked that they made another one. Same studio and everything. So pretty wild.
That is really cool.
Yeah, if you that rings a bell and you played those back on PS2, it is just that, but it looks better. So
I did actually play not too much, but a little bit of the demo of Dynasty Warriors Origins. It's actually kind of hard to say. That's a lot of weird sounding.
Warriors Origins.
O and U's. Anyway, whatever. So I played a little bit of it. Looks really cool. The setting is cool, like you said. I clearly either I need more context for the history, like you have, Kyle, or like others would have. I'd have to look it up, or it does. Maybe the demo is a little bit into the game.
It's way into the game because that's like this. I think this goes
cool.
through the Dong Zuo rebellion, which is that's like the last like fight. I think that's the Battle of Chibi or something like that. I forget. But, like,
I'll tell you what, I'm not good at Musou games, and I needed my handheld a little more because it throws right into it. Kind of expect you to know what you're doing a little bit. Like
this game is hard too.
This is where you want to go, and I was just like, hey, it feels amazing to do these moves that just lift up an entire squadron of enemies, and you're slicing them, you slam them down. Like some of the specials feel awesome. I just didn't know what to use and when, and I started to kind of figure it out with a couple of the kind of little area bosses that you'd face off with. I was figuring out a little bit there, and it's really cool when you can do like the rapid hits on them when they kind of get weakened, and you can do it like rapid. Like some of this stuff was really, really cool.
That demo had every mechanic ever. I haven't seen a single mechanic in that demo in the first 17 hours. Like they drip feed. Like they wanted you using formations and your bodyguards and like
I failed really quickly
to do this, and
because I was like,
dude, I couldn't beat the demo because I didn't know.
I don't know if I was. I think I was supposed to tell people to go a certain direction, and I didn't know how to do that, and. But all that to say,
I haven't even taught that yet. So
all that to say, it is a really cool looking game. The setting is awesome, and the voice acting is really cool. I don't know, everything about it just has a great vibe. And I think if you like Musou games, it's a no-brainer. But if you don't, if you're like me, I'm still even after the demo, kind of kicking my butt. I know that that's not the flow of the main game.
Yeah,
I'm still interested. I put it on my wish list. Like I'm interested.
It'd be a great game down the line to grab on a sale or something. Yeah. And it's never been so story focused. It's very interesting. You play like an amnesiac, character who's just like a nobody who's just hanging out with all the historical greats. It
never happens.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I do like it's doing something a lot different in terms of like the way it's presenting itself. And it is much harder now. Now it's all about parrying, and it's not all about parrying. When you're fighting an officer, it's more kind of like get in, get a couple hits, back out, parry, roll, yada yada. I have never once died in a Musou game ever in my 20 years of playing this series. I have died dozens of times in this game.
So it is difficult in addition to that demo being a little...
Yeah, that demo is insane. I can't believe they threw every mechanic at again, like I haven't even seen half.
I was waiting for tooltips to pop up. Like, here's how you do this, and nope, they just like.
It's almost like
you're in the deep end.
The thing with demos like that can make or break somebody buying something. They jump into that like this is too complicated, and then they.
Not everyone has a Kyle to sell you on it after you have a bad experience.
Good news is selling very well. I did check the numbers.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it is the Koei Tecmo is happy with where they're at right now. So
okay,
people. That's so. Hey, man, there's not 1,000 entries in the series because it's it's. I guess it's more popular than I give it credit for. That's for sure.
I mean, I remember playing this back in it was. I think the first 3 or 4 I would go over my buddy's house. We'd actually play it pretty excessively.
That's the other thing.
Screen,
the split screen is like the steeple for the series. No split screen in this game. No co-op.
Because it's just the one guy, right?
Not even online co-op?
Not even online co-op. Yeah.
There's so many characters. They absolutely
that is the game first. Yeah, that's crazy. I do like the also that since you're playing that character, you don't ever get to choose characters, but because you're there are some levels where you get you get a companion, exactly, and you can switch over and play, and they feel so much more powerful. You know, when you switch to them, it feels like
and they have different styles, different weapons, different move sets and stuff like that, which is cool.
Yeah, and you can change your weapons too, so it's like you can change your move sets and styles as well. It's cool, man. I like it, and it's got a Tiny Tina's Borderlands overworld map in between levels.
Okay.
So you're like walking around on like a board game map almost.
The board game, yeah. Little diorama thing.
It's very, very cool, and the way that you can like go, hey, I'm gonna do this quick little thing where I have to kill 100 people, or I'm gonna go one-on-one with this officer. You get to choose kind of the things that you're interacting with in the world. It's cool. They do a really good job of making it feel fresh. So
I like that. Well, speaking of killing hundreds and hundreds of people, I played a little bit of Ninja Gaiden Black 2 or Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, or I forget what's the actual title of that.
That's right, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, yeah.
Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, yeah. So this is the remaster of the Xbox 360 game. I don't think it ever got a treatment like this. I know the first one did, right?
It was re-released, but it didn't get a facelift like this.
Yeah, so this is absolutely, and some people are even saying it's technically a remake because it's in a new engine. Like, okay, fair enough, but it is. Okay. It's closer to a remaster in terms of
they call it a remaster, but yeah, this is that really nebulous space where it's like when you put something to a new engine, is it a new game though?
Dude, visually it looks like a brand new game. It looks gorgeous. So have either of you played any of this yet?
I plan to. I haven't.
Okay. So it's on Game Pass if anyone wants to try it out.
It's a fantastic series. Well, there's 2 great games in this series.
Yeah.
1 and 2. So
yeah, because the third one is not.
3 is awful.
Beloved, right?
And then like Ninja Gaiden, it's like it starts with a
something
Y.
Edge. Something Edge.
There might be another one out there. Yeah, there's another one that's kind of like a zombie. Like I don't know.
It's Ninja Gaiden. Not gonna play this game anymore. No, but Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is. So it's visually just awesome. It's super dark. It's got this kind of this just really cool, obviously ninja aesthetic to it, and you're jumping around, you're slicing dudes up. There's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
If you aren't familiar with these games, they are tough. I finished. They
apparently overhauled the dismemberment engine in this as well. Yeah. So we're not talking about just new graphics. The dismemberment engine was completely overhauled. Yeah, new physics and everything. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, no, it feels really satisfying when you get a good combo off, and all of a sudden, guys coming at you with one limb, and he's clearly dying, but they get desperate and they're super dangerous. So you have to finish them off. Otherwise, they can trip you and then stab you with an explosive dagger to kill themselves and take off a huge chunk of your health. So like and it'll even come up and tell you, like, if you see someone who's been delimbed, finish them off. Like you need to go hit Y next to this character as soon as possible. And you do, you'll like knock them down to their knees and behead them like real quickly if you do it correctly. But it is a character action game, in my opinion, closer to that, or like just a strict action game because of how fast it moves. It doesn't have that vibe of like anything close to a Souls game. I've heard people say like this was Sekiro before Sekiro, and I'm like, this doesn't feel like.
No, maybe in terms of it, I think it's just people like the difficulty. But, like different types of difficulty though, right? Like
it's very different.
I don't know why people just assume that Souls is like the first hard game ever.
Like, I know, yeah. When Ninja Gaiden came out on the Xbox, it was notoriously hard.
Right.
And it opened up with the Nunchuck boss, which is literally the hardest boss in the entire game. Yeah. And like many people just 45 minutes into that game just stopped playing because they couldn't get past that.
Now they do have a difficulty setting at the beginning. I just picked normal, and the regular enemies are actually tougher for me than the first boss was. I thought the first boss was quite easy. But it's when you were managing multiple enemies coming from multiple angles. That's where it took me a while. I was starting to get it towards the end of my first play session. You got to get into that flow of when to hold block, which is a lot, by the way, block a lot in this game. But then like when to dodge and then go on the offensive, because they attack quick. You just have to be on the lookout for when it's happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's really satisfying. It looks good. It feels good. I'm not good at these kind of games, but it doesn't mean I don't like them and don't have fun with them. So I really am enjoying it. It reminds me of like Bayonetta, where I'm not great at the Bayonetta games.
That's a good example. I mean, like this is like what was like the reply to Devil May Cry. You know what I mean? Like Devil May Cry came out on PlayStation and then the Xbox. You know, this is like kind of in that really cool era of character action games where. You know, the pre-Souls things where when you were a third-person action game, that's what you were, was just a character action game. There wasn't like this Splinter kind of yet.
Yeah, you definitely have some camera issues. They give you a pretty quick fix though, where you hold in RB or R1 depending on what controller you're using, and it'll swing the camera right behind you, like right over your shoulder. So I haven't tried it in combat yet. I just kind of have figured out like wherever the camera is, I'm just going to keep an eye on me and do my best. But I imagine if you hold in that button, it might keep the camera behind you if you want. But I don't know, man. There's so many enemies and they come from every direction, and you might as well just let the camera do its thing and just do your best to dodge and block.
That's right.
Focus on the action.
Yeah, but some of the moves are so cool. Like there's a charge up move, which is so satisfying. I got this like bow staff weapon, which is brutal. Like instead of beheading guys, I'm chopping them in half with this. Like it's awesome. It's such a cool. Like if you like action games, if you like ninjas, play this game. Like,
these games are.
Yu Hayabusa just looks sick too.
Well,
it's a sick looking ninja.
It's a sick aesthetic, like because it's sci-fi and not sci-fi. It's futuristic and
right.
Definitely got fantasy elements. Like your first boss is a big
there's
spidery
definitely magic and stuff going on as well. Yes, and creatures and monsters and stuff. So it's like it is a nice blend of a whole bunch of different like styles and choices and stuff like that. And again, Dan, I know you never played the first one. The first one eases you into it. You like start like in a ninja village, and like. You're just kind of fighting other ninja, and then suddenly, like, you're on an airship, and suddenly you're in the city, and suddenly you're on like, army bases. Like the drip feed, like that, it kind of introduces you. You're fighting people with just swords. Now you're like killing people with machine guns. It's just cool. Like the first game had a really cool pacing to it, and the second one is just like it's fully into its concept by the time the second one starts.
The second one was just 360, also, right?
I think it ended up coming out on other consoles ultimately.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
because that's the main reason why I mean because the first one was on Xbox. I didn't have an Xbox.
They got Sigma, like Sigma 1 and 2 came out on PlayStation 3.
Okay.
These are black, which are the definitive edition. Sigma is like considered like a lesser version of it. I can't tell you why. There's someone on Reddit screaming about it right now about like Sigma sucks and yada yada.
Yeah. Well, this one is definitely worth a look. It is $50 full price, which is a lot, but keep in mind it's rebuilt with a new engine. There's a lot to it, and a lot of people haven't played it. So I know it's also not the longest game. Like I think most people finish it in less than 10 hours, unless of course you really get stuck if you're playing on a really hard mode and you get stuck on like
that can stretch. That's pretty average of that time. How long character action games last?
Just under 10 hours.
Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3 were both around that 8 to 14 hour like window. You know,
that's a good window, not 30 hours.
Bayonetta as well. Near Autonoma, you can beat in about 12 hours. You know, so it's like that's a pretty. You
don't want your hands to cramp up from all the like trying to react and block and parry and all.
You got to learn, Tim. You just got to fight through the pain.
Gotta fight through the pain. That's right. But it is really cool. It was a nice surprise from.
And it is on Game Pass too. So if you want to skip the money,
it's on Game Pass. You can play on PC or on your Xbox, or anywhere else where you can play Game Pass because everything's an Xbox, right, guys? We learned that.
My coffee mug is an Xbox.
Right, yeah.
Yes, this can is an Xbox. So, also out recently that's worth calling out the full version of Ender Magnolia Bloom in the Mist. It was in early access last year, but the 1.0 version is now out. And that is
Ender Lilies.
It's the follow-up to Ender Lilies.
Yeah, cool.
And it is currently sitting at a 96% positive from over 5,000 user reviews. So it's safe to say it's worth the $25.
It's worth the $25. It's not 97. I'll tell you
that. That's like a Metroidvania with some Souls elements to it, 2D, dark fantasy, that kind of thing, with a really cool kind of spirit-like storyline to it. It's very interesting. There's another Metroidvania game out that I have the demo downloaded for. I really want to play it. It looks so cool. I didn't make time for myself. I didn't take time to play it, even though I downloaded the demo. It's called Blade Chimera.
Yes, I have this on my wish list. Yeah,
it looks awesome.
Dude, the art in this game is awesome.
It's a side-scroller shooter Metroidvania game.
And it's like
Blade Chimera sounds sick.
Blade Chimera is awesome, and like you're going around like
really
I think it's like
pixel art
or something. Like you're fighting like demons or something.
It
like
is demons.
That?
Definitely.
Yeah.
But like robotic demons, maybe.
And it's a twist on the Metroidvania thing. I think like you acquire what you need to traverse via like your skill tree, not by getting it where you need to on the map. So it's about like getting the upgrade and going. I know where I need to go back and use. So you still have that Metroidvania thing. It's just about getting those pieces just work a little different.
Okay.
I was reading a lot of reviews. Sometimes I want to be convinced to buy a game, you guys. So I'll watch like 20 reviews that are positive.
Sure.
And usually I end up like, all right, I'll just go buy it now.
Yeah, this looks art style, right?
It's cool.
Dan?
The art style is so awesome. Yeah.
And again, like Blade Chimera, just that's a name I would want like my code name to be if I was some kind of assassin.
An
Blade
eagle
Chimera.
or a raven screaming while someone's saying that.
So true. Yeah, it's really, really good. So, or at least it looks really good. I shouldn't say it is good. I have the demo, haven't played it, fully plan to. It's only $18 right now as its introductory price. So that's.
I think it's on sale for like 14 right now. Is
it?
I think on Steam. On Steam it is. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's part of a bundle, but since I already have the other half, you're right. It's 14 for me. What is the other bundle game? Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, and this.
Oh, Bloodstained rocks. Oh.
And so, I think they're bundled for 40. No, they're bundled for something like 20 or something. Anyway, whatever. That is cool. All right, so that game is out. There's also a game I just saw listed on the store. Just wanted to mention the name of it because it looks so cool. It disappeared on me. It is. Hang on one second. Where did it go? It was something with a piratey game. Mark of the Deep. This one looks cool. So it's a piratey action adventure game. It kind of has an isometric look to it. Strong narrative, thrilling mix of Metroidvania and Souls-like elements. But yeah, the style
cover
looks
art
cool.
of this reminds me of another one of those League of Legends games. Wasn't there like
I totally
a pirate?
get that same vibe. Yeah, the King one.
Oh, I'm so adding this to my list. Oh my gosh.
Doesn't this look cool?
This looks so cool.
Yeah,
it is. It's like great. Diablo. It's Pirate Diablo.
Pirate Diablo is what it looks like. I don't know if it plays that well, but it has a few reviews, not a lot, over 80% positive. But
32 reviews, all positive. So
yeah. So there you go. And it's got
not enough games, guys.
You can always grab demo. Yeah, I know. Not enough. There you go. There's your quick rundown of some new stuff that's on the horizon. As far as news goes, I know we haven't talked for a few weeks, but the news has been relatively quiet. But now it got real loud real fast. So we got the Nintendo Switch 2 officially revealed. Honestly, in one of the more like anticlimactic reveals, because it was exactly what the leaks were telling us for a while leading up to it.
If you're following the leaks, you will not be surprised.
Yeah. So it was nothing surprising. That being said, it looks great. It's kind of the iterative upgrade I think most of us want. We kind of want, let me play all my Switch games. Don't try to do anything too crazy, Nintendo. Don't go all Virtual Boy on us. Like, keep it together. Go Nintendo
Wii U on us.
Go Nintendo to Super Nintendo. Right. Go Game Boy to Game Boy Advance. Like DS to 3DS. Like, just take us to the next level, but keep giving us the good software. And
I still think Super Switch is more fun, but 2 makes much more sense. We don't need to, like you said, Wii U
if they call it the Super Switch, I think people will think it's a peripheral. I think that's where we're at now.
Yeah,
that's
or like a 1.5.
That's what happened with the Wii U. Is that they just so you just
sounds
have to do
fun,
2.
You know?
I will say Kyle Bossman did a whole video about how the 2 is not a very good 2. And I agree. It's not a great 2. Yeah, it's not a great 2. It's not a 2 that we're going to we're not going to be remembering this 2. Like, think about the PS2 in your mind. That 2 on the PS2. It's a good 2.
A good 2.
Hey, good 2. Honestly, all the numbers that PlayStation has used, pretty good versions of those numbers.
The PlayStation font's one of my favorite fonts ever.
They do a good job with that. But anyway, so that was revealed. Obviously, we didn't see a whole lot. They did show a Mario Kart game, and I didn't recognize the track. Was that confirmed, or we just think probably a new Mario Kart?
It is confirmed a new, and in 24 players and 24 players on a map. It was a new map. It is 1,000% Mario Kart 9. That's all we know about it. We don't even know if it's day and date with release. We don't know anything.
It would be a great launch game. Like
you have to launch with that game, dude.
What a great launch game! If you don't have a Zelda or a Mario Kart is by far your next best thing to launch.
It is the highest selling game on the Switch.
Right.
So it's the highest selling game, one of the highest, in a long time. So
yeah.
Could you imagine if we got that, but then also like Mario Odyssey 2?
I hear that it's probably coming. The leaks say, and the leaks have been right. The leaks say that that's coming holiday 2025.
I've also heard there's an upgraded version of Breath of the Wild potentially that'll hit this thing where it's like Switch 2 optimized or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I've heard that there's potential for finally re-releasing the Wind Waker HD on the Switch, like a revamp.
Make that a launch. Make that a launch. Like unless it's like a total upgrade, like where you know what I mean, like where it's way shiny. Obviously, put some time.
You don't really need to. The graphic style.
Dude, no, it's such a timeless style, and I have replayed that game every time they've re-released it. Yeah. Can you believe?
And I'll do it again.
I hated that game when it first came out, and I hate myself for thinking that way because it is now one of my favorite.
Yeah.
Zelda.
But
remember what they showed us as like the tech demo for GameCube, and everyone's like,
remember
oh,
coming off the high
of
Ocarina of Time, and then getting that tech demo, and like it was locked that like it would be like if they made a new Lord of the Rings movie and it didn't look like Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean? How like it is the chosen look of Lord of the Rings, is what Peter Jackson gave it. When you think Lord of the Rings, you go, New Zealand. You know, that's kind of what happened. They kind of rug pulled us a little bit, but like dude,
it's charming.
We were all wrong. Game. We were all everybody who didn't like it at the time was wrong. Everyone who loved it at the time, you were always right. So
it's true.
I agree. So what do you guys think about the form factor of it so far? It's a little bit bigger. The controllers are very similar, but again, larger to fit the side of the slightly bigger screen. Not by a lot, but like a little bit bigger. Probably LCD. All reports are saying LCD screen to help save on costs because the OLED screens are just expensive.
Sure.
I've also heard that there might be a dual, like it might be there might be an OLED model and a regular model at launch.
Like maybe a cheaper and a more expensive.
So they're like one would be like $399 and the other like $350 or $400 or something. Or
that actually could be a smart way to help with supply if you've got people who just want one.
I think this thing's going to be $400 minimum.
I think it's going to be 400 too. And
if
they have this like rumored OLED model, secondary model exists, that would be an extra 50 or 100 or something like that, maybe. And I think that'd be great. Yeah, you're splitting the SKU up and everything. So
yeah, for all reports are saying that it's actually been in production, mass production for a while now, and they're the idea is that they're like trying to build up the stock of this thing now.
And it'd be easier if there was just one model to build. You know what I mean? To build up that much stock. So
I do think this is definitely, so we went from like what looks like a toy, which is fine because it's Nintendo, and you do kind of think like toy, right? The Nintendo feels very much like almost like a toy company, but they do a lot of predominantly video game stuff. This is like sleek. This is a nice sleek.
How I think about it is like if the Game Boy Advance kind of looked like a toy. Like when you got the SP or even like the DS,
flip open.
Yeah, it was sleeker. You know what I mean? Like it was just classier. Yeah, I think that's kind of what we're getting here, where it's a little curvier. It's a little. Apparently, there's going to be a little more like heft to it at the top. So like when you're holding it in handheld, like you don't get that like Switch hand cramp. You know. So kind of like how the Steam Deck is. You know how it's kind of bulkier at the top.
Yes.
You know? I hear it's just the form factor is just out of this world. I mean, at this point. It's the worst kept secret. Plenty of people have gotten their hands on it. People have seen it, you know. So people are saying like, it feels good to hold. Like I hope that's true. And
there's rumors
that video.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I wonder if this video was like not like cobbled together in like a day or two, sort of, but like quickly as like just all right, just shut the fuck up, leave us alone.
Yeah,
like, here's your
maybe originally because when is the actual reveal gonna happen in April?
April 2nd.
April 2nd.
I have a feeling in March we would have gotten maybe a trailer like this originally, and then like it just. From what I understand, the leaks happened a little more because a lot of people were selling Switch 2 accessories at CES. Right. They were there was licensing and everything was agreed on that they could show it at that expo, because remember this was supposed to be revealed like a year ago, so it's like a lot of deals already made like that.
Yeah, the peripheral agreements for those reveals must have been made before Nintendo bumped back internally. Just bumped back. We didn't have an official announcement that they bumped anything back.
No, it's an internal bump. Yeah,
we think they likely were going to show this earlier, maybe even as early as last fall, but it kept getting moved for whatever production or
who knows
why. I mean, there were rumors. Remember originally that we were going to get this last year, like we were going to have it in hand last year. Which is just crazy to think about.
Now there are suggestions that with not only the animation style with how the controllers were moving in the video, which could have just been to stylize them sliding into place, but also there's talk of maybe an IR sensor on the bottom of one of the remotes that could mean it could be used as a mouse potentially. Although the shape of it still looked to me like it wouldn't be super comfortable to lay down flat and move around, but that doesn't mean there couldn't be some sort of add-on that it sits in. And
that thing that it looks like that slipped on, I wonder if that's like slippery. I don't know. Yeah, maybe that thing helps it like glide better or something. I don't know.
Cool idea.
I do think it's bold of them to show stick drift in the trailer there.
They were drifting.
They
were,
they were drifting.
That's actually pretty rude. I'm not gonna buy one now.
They add those little like protectors, and those are kind of cool because they add a little bit of style to the black. Yeah, I love the black design of the console, by the way.
The magnetic snap, right?
The magnetic snap, but then like in the analog sticks,
colors.
the analog sticks have these like little protective rings that are colored that look like, I'm like, hey, maybe that's them saying we're fixing the stick drift or not.
Yeah,
maybe it's not.
I think it is, because like stick drift is usually caused by particles getting underneath the joystick, and I think that's going to help block maybe some of those things getting in there. And just maybe having just better designed, sticks to begin with. But like,
I
adds
swear to God, if
I get one drift, I'm gonna lose it. I'll tell you that.
I'm done.
I'll lose it. It does look better. I usually don't like a really colorful system, but I do like those accented colors of those joysticks. When you look on the inside too, I think there's like a similar color of the controller. I do like those little bits of color. It kind of brings it to life. But yeah, it's a very sleek looking system.
I think it's safe to say this is coming out, I would guess, well before holiday season. Now, it could be a holiday release, and that's totally fine. That would be shocking. But I feel like with this trailer, and then there's going to be a much deeper dive in April, I wouldn't be surprised at all if this is a summer launch for this console.
Same. I think rumors are, and again, rumors are always, anybody could say rumors, but the dates I was seeing thrown around like at latest August.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
I saw a lot of summer,
Yeah, June, July, August would not surprise me at all. It also wouldn't surprise me if, like, in April they show it and they say it's going to be available on November 10th or whatever. Like, okay, I wouldn't be that shocked about that either. But
it's like giving 2 or 3 months for pre-orders, I would say, is pretty normal. So if we're gonna get that announcement in April, May, June, July, August, that sounds right.
Yeah, I think so too. So I'm excited for this. They did say that, with some exceptions, certain Nintendo games, probably stuff specialized like Nintendo Labo and a few other things.
Sure.
Certain Switch games may not be compatible with the Switch 2. So they did kind of have that little warning on there. But I think for the most part, unless you're playing something super specialized like that Cardboard Labo game, or maybe the Mario Kart physical game, like something that needs to read something physically, there's no guarantee that will still work. But all that to say, this is looking cool. It's kind of what we expected. I think it's what most of us would have wanted if you were to ask us to design a Nintendo Switch 2. Make it a little bit bigger, a little bit nicer, better battery, all those kind of things. Like make it run things smoother.
Curious about the battery.
I could have used more teens on rooftops playing games in their trailer.
Sure.
I was up for that role this year.
We didn't have time for that.
I was not.
They had to make this trailer.
Yeah, you're like, you're the oldest looking teen I've
ever seen. I walked in, they were like, "Get out, you creep!"
You old.
Can we get a couple of guys with beards who are from Colorado in this trailer playing?
Yeah, right.
Like,
we're outside of the snow
for
playing
teens.
Nintendo Labo.
Yeah, exactly. So that was announced, and then we also had the Xbox Developer Direct, which there was a number of really cool things that we probably shouldn't take too much time to dig into. But the big one is connected to the game we already discussed, and that's the Ninja Gaiden series is getting a lot of love right now. Not only did Ninja Gaiden 2 Black get released, kind of like stealth dropped, boom, right there, here it is. But we know that the 4th game in the series is officially on the way.
Incredibly well kept secret. Wow.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking how well kept.
So that is really cool. Very exciting that especially knowing how 3 kind of left a bad taste in fans' mouths when it comes to that series. It'll be nice to see it come back to form.
When I feel like once they found success with like Neo and stuff like that, I think a lot of people were just like, well, we're not going to Ninja Gaiden anymore. I think this is going to be their route going forward. And now they're bringing it back, so that's cool.
Also, Platinum Games
Platinum Games crazy. Doing the combat, helping with that helps.
That's cool.
That's
very cool. Was there anything else from the direct or the Developer Direct? I know there wasn't anything else new announced. We know of South of Midnight. We just got to see more, right? We know of Doom.
Expedition 33.
Expedition 33 was amazing.
We knew of that one, but what
we did, but
we didn't know much about it though.
No.
Sure. At least not all of what we know now, which also a release date too.
Yeah.
What's the release date for that one?
April?
April 24th. I pre-ordered the middle edition.
It looks incredible.
I can't believe it's a small team. When they're like, "Yeah, we're just a small team," I'm like, and it looks like this.
Dude, I just and like that was I liked them kind of like because I didn't really get that. Well, I knew that they were a French studio, but him like explaining like his surroundings, like where they live, and kind of like basing some of the even environments, like they were showing like this just kind of like that town square center in the game, and I was like, oh, actually there is a lot of like similar features with like the buildings and stuff where they live. But yeah, like. Dude, the second they said overworld map, I screamed. I screamed. I was like, oh my God, they did it.
It just looks like a really cool traditional JRPG style game. And I'm very excited for that. it's the last time the French made a cool JRPG style game, it was that like Eternal Sonata game about like Frederick Chopin or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Guy who,
good callback.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great RPG. If you needed an RPG that was based off of like an 18th century, that's probably not the right century, composer, let me tell you.
And you might not know that you need it. You know, you might not think you need it, but you might need it.
He was dying of like what, cancer too?
The game is about like the fever dreams he was having while he was on his deathbed. Yeah, it's very dark, but like it's not a very dark game.
But yeah, Expedition just looks absolutely amazing. They showed like some creatures that like join you and like, which I wasn't even like, there was vibes about this game that I wasn't getting until they showed this game. It's like, oh, there's a little bit of like whimsy and like actually kind of like humor too. Cause initially like out the gate, it just seemed very like mostly serious. Just because of the concept of what's happening in that world, serious. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely some whimsy there and a little bit of lightheartedness. And yeah, the game just looks beautiful and the combat looks awesome because it's interactive and
yeah.
It just I don't know, man.
The major focus on
I'm
like
crazy excited.
Characters is what they were saying in that. They were just like, we just wanted to make them as real as possible. I'm like, great. It's gonna suck when they all die. It's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we'll prevent it, Kyle. We'll prevent it.
No, I don't think
we'll save them.
I think a lot of them are going to die.
It's too late.
Listen, Ben Starr's been through enough.
Oh, is he in this too?
He's one of the main characters. He's cool. VOing one of the main ones. So.
Nice. I do need to catch up and watch the rest of that direct. Was there anything else from that, or really any other news that you guys want to call out before we move off of headlines?
What's that? What's the other game?
South of Midnight.
South? Yeah, that looks awesome. I really love
there was a fourth game though, wasn't there? Are we missing?
Wasn't it Doom? Wasn't Doom?
Yes, it was Doom.
Doom rock, dude. Yeah.
Gaston is screaming at it like it was Doom.
Yeah. He was like, "You guys are going to talk about Doom?"
Hey, I did mention Doom just for the record. I just didn't know. I haven't watched the direct yet, so I don't.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was cool. It's a direct sequel to the 2016 game, prequel, excuse me, which I don't understand. So we'll see how that all plans out.
Yeah, how can you be much cooler? Whatever. Go ahead.
I was like, there's a Doomslayer before. Okay, whatever. It's fine. Gaston knows all the lore. He's screaming at us.
Yeah, right, he does.
But what's cool about it is, speaking of the lore, is that in 2016 and Internal, a lot of the lore were like behind like codec readings and stuff like that. And then they said this game, they're moving away from the codec and all the story is going to be in the game. Yeah. So like you get to experience kind of like all the stuff going on without having to like stop and read stuff. So
the theming and the setting looks cool.
I love it. Yeah, the shield was cool. The shield, he was throwing it. It was sticking in people's like faces and just spinning there until he called it back, And
it was.
It looked
it's
like
such a simple thing. Because like also they kept talking about how it's all dedicated to one button, but you're doing several things with one button. So it's like
buttons. Giant mech, flying dragons. The most metal video game ever made, guys. We're in for a treat.
Yeah.
Soundtrack sounds.
It's not. Great. It's even more metal than your. What was that one game?
Brutal Legend.
Brutal Legend. Yeah. It's even more metal than
that.
Great
soundtrack.
There's nothing more metal than a tower defense game, all right, guys? Jesus Christ.
Hey, listen, there was an open world /
it was a tower defense game.
That game didn't know what it wanted to be.
It did not. It was like we're not saying no to any idea at this writer's table.
Sure.
Which they should have. They should have said no to some ideas.
You could have just made it a cool third person or
just an action game.
Just an action game. Yeah. They were like, we're gonna.
But like my main worry with this game was like the soundtrack, because Mick Gordon not being there, and it sounds pretty friggin' metal.
Good, dude. So, I wish they would have talked about more who was doing it and stuff like that.
They named them, but I don't.
They did, but like I felt like in past Dooms, they're like, and the Doom music's back. They'd have like a whole section of like just the cool metal or whatever. But we're gonna get it. It'll be good.
All right. Well, let's jump in to talking about our favorite overall game of the year from 2024. Before we get into some fun music, a little jam session to wrap up the episode. So I'm going to share my screen, as we've done plenty of times before. So you guys are familiar with this whole process here. So let me share. Tell me if you're seeing this right now-ish. Can you see it? All right.
Indubitably.
I know it's bright. I know it just blinded you. I apologize, but it is.
Everyone can see how pale I am now. That's great.
Yeah. I'm always shiny when I lean into certain spots. It's just kind of like, whoa, ghost, Tim. Whatever, it's fine. So same as usual, I tried to, and this actually I did this a while ago, so I wonder if there's anything that's still in that far left column that I need to bring over one more. So feel free to look really at any of the games that are here or anything that maybe is missing that you want to make sure we have considered for our game of the year. So the idea, if you're just joining us for the first time, is the game must be released in 2024. For the most part, remakes and remasters of the same general experience don't count. There are some exceptions, of course. Great example is what happened in 2020, as well as this past year with the Final Fantasy VII remake and rebirth. Almost completely different game experiences when you really consider what that experience was like. So, so those don't fall under this category. Other games in the past we've kind of let slide through would be some of the Resident Evil remakes, just because they were so improved, so different. We would let those slip through a couple times, but all that to say, DLC we already talked about. Go back and check out that episode. Other remakes and remasters, we already celebrated those. You can go check those out. This is meant for new games in 2024 to get their flowers for this year. So that is the overall goal of this, is to make sure we're celebrating stuff from this past year. I moved some stuff over, and again, I did this a few weeks back based on our conversations, what I thought we'd want to at least potentially mention, even if we don't bring it over, just like, hey, I loved this one. Don't bring it over, but I loved it. Because we like to do that sometimes, just to give it a little shout. But if there's anything I missed or that needs to be brought over, let me know. But we'll start by just going around. We'll each take turns moving games into this round one category of games we want considered for the overall game of the year discussion. And maybe in our hearts, we just want them on the honorable mention list. We're not even trying to get them on the top 10 or top 20. We just kind of want them to get some kind of love. And that's totally fair if that's the case for some of the games you want to move over. So Dan, we'll start with you, and then we'll go alphabetically. We'll go Dan, Kyle, Tim, and we'll go from there. So Dan, what do you want to move over first?
You know what? I'm gonna go with one you guys aren't anticipating, because I don't actually remember if we put it on the list. I'm gonna say Bloomtown, because I played and finished Bloomtown since we last spoke. And that game's an absolute treat. Yeah. Absolute treat. It definitely has flaws, but it's an absolute treat of a game.
I love it. I love that shout out. That's great. Kyle, what do you want to bring over?
Let's bring over just Metaphor. Let's get Metaphor out of the way.
Metaphor.
Let's just do it.
Gosh, just bring it over. It's fine.
Bring it over. It's fine.
All right, I'll bring Astrobot over. Dan, what do you want to bring over?
Man, I have Rebirth, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Bring over Rebirth. Kyle, what do you want to bring?
Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth.
Yeah, you do. Okay.
Infinitely, yes.
I'm going to bring over Mini Shoot Adventure. And by the way, I think it's Adventure, not Adventures. I've been saying it wrong, I think. I could be wrong.
It's just a singular adventure? It
would be one adventure, yeah.
I think it is one adventure, but whatever.
Adventures is the sequel.
Yeah. Dan, what do you want to bring over?
Let's see here. But I feel like there should be more games here. This is kind of wild.
There's a lot on the left
side. Look at the left too, if you.
Yeah. And you can also just Google some games if you want in between picks. But there were a lot of games.
There were a lot of games.
I mean, a lot.
There's a good amount of games.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna say Neva. I also finished Neva. I forget if that was after the last episode or not.
I think it was, because I didn't know you finished it. Nice. Okay, cool. Kyle, what should we bring over?
Dragon's Dogma 2.
There it is.
Do it.
All right, I'm going to bring over Banishers Ghost to New Eden. Dan?
You know what? Throw Stellar Blade on there. Some Stellar Bay, rather. Stellar Bay.
Stellar Bay. All right, Kyle?
Dragon Age Woke Guard.
Actually, in the middle of that, finally.
50% of their budget guard. Sorry.
You know what? I hope that because no one bought this, that we just don't get Mass Effect, because that's what you deserve. So.
Yeah, you guys, all of you, this is what you deserve. Okay.
This is it. Yeah.
I'm gonna bring over Concord. Just kidding. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna bring over.
I wish we actually did have someone on the panel who was like a major Concord fan.
I know, me too. I do too. Actually.
I played it for 3 weeks. It was the best thing I've ever played.
I made some of my best friends in that game.
I can't believe they took this away from me.
My life.
I brought over Indiana Jones. Dan, what about you? Anything else?
Oh boy.
What do you think deserves a shout? I can keep scrolling on the left-hand side. If I'm going too fast, it might be. I'm not sure if it's even helpful for me to do this.
Good. just I'm not feeling. I feel like I'm not feeling any super passionately about anything else.
Nothing is moving you.
We all hate
2024. I just hate video games. Apparently, I just feel already pretty strongly about what we have.
That's fair. I've got a lot. I've got a lot to move over. I just don't want to be the only one.
Sure, go ahead.
So do I. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Skip.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Of Warhammer.
Oh, sure.
Space Marine 2. I'll bring over Unicorn Overlord. Go ahead,
Go.
Kyle.
Star Wars
Outlaws. Dan, interrupt if you think of one that you're like, yeah, let's bring this one over. Feel free to interrupt. Go ahead.
Star Wars Outlaws.
Star Wars Outlaws. Okay. I'm gonna bring over Shogun Showdown.
I mean, Helldivers 2, right?
Helldivers 2.
Sure.
Very enjoyable.
Over. Yep, absolutely. I'm gonna bring over Black Myth Wukong.
Oh.
Yeah.
What else?
I mean,
Tim, you could do Balatro if you want.
Earth Defense Force 6 was my favorite co-op game of the year, but I'm not gonna fight for that one at all. This were a Kyle list. It'd be a different conversation.
Hey, I'm bringing over Aiden Chronicles. I have
played
some of that.
We've all three of us.
So. That's very stunning of you and brave. Thank you for doing that.
I am really loving that game. So
I'm glad that you are, because that makes me happy.
Yeah, I love it. All right. What else? I'm gonna bring over Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. Top tier game.
Another hats off, but don't move over to Grand Blue Fantasy. Get that game for $20, y'all. Just get it. If it goes on sale for $20, pick it up.
Just do it.
That's $20 you'll overpay.
Does it go down to $20 on
it
the
hasn't
sales?
yet, but when it does,
then get it. Okay.
Yeah.
I got it for Christmas, Kyle, so I'm already all set. Did you really have it? Yeah, for Christmas. Yeah, I got it for Christmas.
If you get to the end game of that and have a hankering to continue playing, please let me know, because I've been wanting to play the multiplayer.
Hell yeah.
All right, I'm going to bring over a block of 3 that I really enjoyed this year. Echoes of Wisdom, Plucky Squire, and UFO 50. Do I think they'll make the top 10? Not necessarily, but this is me now wanting just to get some ones that I secretly enjoyed a lot. Not secretly, but I enjoyed a lot.
What was I saying a second ago? Sarcastic. Oh, I was saying, Tim, if you want to move Balatro, if you want to do it, if
I think I'm the only one to put significant time into it, and it's not even close to my top 10. I know some people love it. Right. Totally fine. I do like it, but to me, it's kind of like, it's absolutely a mobile game, which is great. Sure. I have no problem with them being successful with the mobile game. I just want to make that really clear. I just don't think it's Game of the Year worthy. I'm gonna bring over Call of Duty.
Next year, some riff on Minesweeper is gonna be like the big rage, and I'm gonna lose it on everybody.
It's gonna be a roguelike Minesweeper.
Guys, it's it's roguelike Minesweeper. It's exactly right.
It's gonna be Sweet Miner
stuff,
Sweet Miner.
Sweet Miner.
I will just give a quick shout out to Core Keeper. Really, really fun. It does wear out its welcome unless you've got friends to play with. It's not a great solo. It works. It's just not a great solo survival adventure game. It's much better with friends, but it is very, very cool, especially if you like stuff like Terraria and stuff like that.
Speaking of co-op, and again, whether it's a significant other who doesn't game a lot or you have a kid, Cat Quest 3 is like legitimately a really solid and fun, cute like co-op. Co-op game.
Yeah, I think Cat Quest 3 and Core Keeper, great family-friendly co-op.
Yeah.
Also surprisingly fun in their own right.
Yeah.
Type games.
Yep.
Sure. I won't bring it over because I know that I'm the only sports ball fella here, but College Football 25, the only reason I want to at least shout it out is because it's just been so friggin' long since we've had a college football game, a licensed college football game. It has a lot of issues, and I hope they fix it in the next iteration whenever that game comes out. It's got some glitchiness in the menus because it's so in-depth when you're recruiting players, and it's got thousands of players that it generates that are very random as you go through your dynasty and stuff. And so like there's a lot for the game to keep track of. It just has some moments where it's like the game totally glitched. It could be a stat, it could be a name, it could be a school, it could be they're supposed to be interested in my school, but for some reason they've locked me out of the recruiting process, and it doesn't, like, there's little things like that the game just needs to be, fine-tuned a bit, polished a little bit. That being said, I had a blast with it. I love this game. I'll be playing a lot this summer as I go through football withdrawal after the Super Bowl. So nice. I love it. Frostpunk 2, I wish I'd played more of it. It's super cool, though. Great strategy game. Highly recommend that one. And Islands of Insight, if you like puzzles, give that one a whirl. It's very creative when it comes to puzzles. Kyle, what about Mullet Mad Jack? Is that one you want to push for?
Love it. I'm not gonna fight for it too hard. We got bigger.
I feel the same about Nine Souls. I didn't play it enough to fight for it, but it's really cool. Rise of the Ronin was fun from what I played, but it was definitely swimming in sevens. But I did think it was cool. Sorry, Gaston. I did not like Stalker 2. I even tried to play it after
either.
some of the updates, and it just does not do it for me.
It is like, and I know this is the point. So like, just know that what I'm saying is like a personal Kyle problem. It just moves like molasses. Like everything, and I'm not even talking like the actual movement. I mean, like the pacing of the game is just like purposefully slow, and I'm just not into it.
I think it can work for some people, and I understand why people love it. It's just not my thing. Senua Saga, we should mention it just because that game took so freaking long to come out. We mentioned this in a past episode. Gorgeous visuals, like super impressive, technically stunning.
As Hell Young soundtrack also was very good. The soundtrack, that band Hell Young did awesome. Okay. So
nice.
But that's it. That's all I have to say about that.
All right, I'm glancing on the left side to see if there's anything else. Foam Stars, guys. There's last chance for Foam Stars.
Kind of mad you even
I legit forgot about Foam Stars, and then you put it back in my brain, Tim.
I'm pretty upset right now.
How dare you?
That exists right alongside Concord. Those two just rode the basket straight into hell together after this year. They're just both done, pretty much. Little Kitty Big City. Come on, that was kind of fun.
Yes,
I think that's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much it as far as like top tier games for the three of us. Not for everybody, but for the three of us. Just looking through to make sure I didn't forget. There was 3 Ninja Turtle games out this year. Is that true? That's a lot. That's a lot for one IP.
It is.
Especially because I don't think those games are all that different from each other. But just in terms of like the style and the genres. Okay.
TMNT. There really was.
There's a lot there. Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak. I know people love that.
Yeah, that's one I just haven't been counting just because A, I'm the only one who's played it, and B, like it technically came out in 2000 or 2020, excuse me. Technically.
True. One of the funniest ideas for a game, if we had that as a category, Vampire Therapist. I still want to play that game just because of the concept of you are truly like, it's a dialogue adventure type game where you're picking what to say to these vampires who are coming to you for therapy. So funny. Like the whole idea of that seems great to me.
I have a feeling, just based off the reviews alone, that if any of us played that East 10 Nordics, one of us probably would have liked it.
We probably would have loved it. I think you're right. Same with Wild Bastards. I think we would have enjoyed
Wild Bastards
that.
Looks very cool.
Yeah.
Because that's a Void Bastards like
it is. It's a follow-up.
Very cool.
All right. Well, I think that's about all the shout-outs we can give before we jump into ranking these bad boys. Let's see where we're at. All right, we're over 20, so we do have to trim some out for this next round. What games do we want to instantly throw into our honorable mention kind of elimination here? So what do you guys think? What do we want? What are some easy ones to say? Hey, we brought it over, and that's nice, but it's not going to make.
Bloomtown again. I like mentioned that first just because that was fresh in my mind. But that's not going to be in the top 10 at all. But yeah, it's I'm glad that I finally got to play it. And we'll experience a track from the game later.
Yeah, we will.
Music. I'm gonna catch this on a sale for sure. Like I've been following this one since it's been launching, and I'm like, it has all the things I like. It's Persona, it's Stranger Things, it's Earthbound. Excuse me, I'm like Eastbound.
Yeah, I was gonna say the design like of the world is very Earthbound.
Eastbound and down.
The catching monsters aspect is like kind of Persona-esque. You're not like talking to the monsters. You're more just kind of like weakening them, and then like if you set it up right, then you can recruit them and like kind of like incorporate that. The music though, like specifically during fights, and there's like I think 4 or 5 different tracks, and I actually like that it does this. It cycles through the 4 or 5 different tracks, so you're not always hearing the same song. But I mean, there's just not a ton of them. But I like that idea where it's not just always the same like default combat track. It goes through a few of them, which is really cool.
I love that.
But it's very the music during combat is very, very Persona centric.
Well, I was jamming out to one of the songs you sent me, and I really liked it.
Okay, did you hear it?
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the writing
apparently
also
it is
was,
on sale right now on Steam, so it's $18 right now.
Okay.
What is it normally? Is it 20 or
$24.99? Yeah, 25.
Okay. I thought the writing was actually pretty like funny and clever at times. Like your little brother character is pretty funny. He's a silly little guy. Nice. But and also surprisingly dark. There's like when you get to like the bosses, kind of similar to like Persona 5, like like that first boss, for example, like that whole story in the school, like oh, this is actually really effed up. Like, so kind of like similar, like in that aspect.
Yeah.
So.
How's its difficulty?
It's not a difficult game. So like like I mentioned, there are definitely flaws. I think the combat, like once you kind of get into the rhythm of it, it is well, first off, like I want to just say, like accuracy wise, like when you're doing attacks, this is like one of the most egregious games of like missing the enemy that I've ever played in my entire life.
Not more than Darkest Dungeon. I refuse to play.
I mean, well, to be fair, I've not played enough of Darkest Dungeon then, but I was like,
that is like it's one of the games.
I've heard that before. Okay. I didn't play it enough to experience that, but I heard that.
So, like, in my opinion, it's like it legitimately, the game would need an update to like balance it a little more, because I was like, I'm missing these guys like way more, in my opinion, than I really feel like I need to. But yeah, it you know, like the combat is not anything crazy, but it does do the whole like enemies are weak to certain elements, so you want to like figure out what those elements are and knock them out, and you gotta basically hit them all with whatever they're weak against. You gotta hit them so they're kind of like down on one knee. But like the tricky thing is, if there's like 4 enemies on the screen, you have to hit all 4 of them to trigger that event of being able to catch one of them. So that's the only kind of like annoying thing, because like
are more Persona parallels, FYI.
Yeah, because if there's only 2 on screen, then there's only 2 that you have to knock down, so it's not as bad. But if there's 4, you might miss one of them, and then once all 4 of your characters get their turns done, then like
it's very Shin Megami Tensei, because like if you're trying to recruit a demon and everybody else is still fine to fight in their party, they will like interrupt like your conversation. That's cool. I like that.
Hey, for an honorable mention, that is sounds like a really fun game as an honorable mention for the year. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very, very glad that I finally got to it. Again, definitely has its flaws, but for a little indie RPG, like if you love RPGs like at all, please play this game. It's fantastic. Yeah. So,
well, I'm gonna move over UFO 50 to the honorable mentions list too. Super cool concept though. So like cool. I give it major props to that developer for coming up with that idea. It feels like you're playing through the history of an actual developer. It really does when you play those games. It feels like little touches of games I have played before. And yes, it's true that out of the 50 games, maybe only 10 to 15 I think are actually fun that I'd replay again. That's true, but that's not because there's anything wrong with the games. They're purposefully like giving you really obtuse arcade games that get better over time. It's just an interesting concept for their collection. So UFO 50 is a really cool little collection of pretend games. They made all these games. They essentially made 50 little games, and some of them are surprisingly big, actually, games. So UFO 50 is great. What else can we move into honorable mentions from these over here, do you think? From these round 1 games. Anything else jump out at you? And if not, it's fine. We can start moving things over that are surefire. The only one that jumps out to me instantly is Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. Y'all would have to like really be pitching that one, because I haven't played it. So.
And people who love that game, don't get mad at me. I just don't think. Again, this is our top 20 and then top 10, right? We're not ranking the 20. We're just picking 20, and then we're going to rank top 10. I don't think it's going to be in the top 20 of our shared list. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
I mean, so I think based off of clearly our last few recordings, like to me, like I think where I've settled with it is like I do like Stellar Blade more.
Yeah.
But I also didn't finish Black Myth Wukong.
But and that's also kind of proving the point further, right? I mean, you finished Stellar.
Well, right.
So.
But like Wukong, I think just in general is longer. It's just I spent like a good amount of time with Stellar Blade because I did do like kind of the side quests and stuff. But I mean, I feel like it would be in the top 20, but it would be at the bottom.
So it could be
absolutely at the bottom. But like it's like it's a beautiful game. The combat is really slick and cool. It's just I
mean, I'm not going to go to bat for Call of Duty, even though I thought this year was great. But I don't think that's going to be top.
I think it is, for me personally, it is easily in the top 20 of the year. Okay. Is it my favorite? No. I think it's right around that 10-11 range for me personally, in my personal rankings. So like I think it's top 20, and I know that all of us have played and enjoyed it, but I know it hurts sometimes to like celebrate the Call of Duty brand just because of how
everybody hurt.
I just know. So I'd rather have that one in than Black Myth, just because of the time that we've all put into it, how much we all were like, hey, this is actually pretty good, and we all enjoyed the multiplayer, which is a big component of it. I think
I've only still played the multiplayer. I still haven't even played the story.
I think it's the top 20. But if we're getting like those are two that are on the cusp for sure.
We could start moving stuff over that are definites, and then like kind of be like, all right, is this actually at the bottom, or
Okay, yeah. I got to get rid of these rankings because this is misleading. So let me get rid of these. Okay. That helps to kind of eliminate the idea of ranking anything. But these are maybe floaters to the top or to honorable mentions, possibly. I think it's safe to move over stuff that's kind of won previous categories that are pretty obvious, which would be like your Astrobot, your Final Fantasy, your Metaphor. These are for top 20, by the way. Keep that in mind. I think Prince of Persia is a top 20 game. I think Unicorn Overlord is a top 20 game. I think Space Marine 2 is a top 20 game. These are pretty obvious to me. You guys stop me if you don't think
Neva. To me is
Neva, I think it's a top 20 game for sure. I'm gonna fight hard for Banishers to at least be top 20. You gotta be kidding me. I love that game. I feel like Indiana Jones is a top 20 game. Like a Dragon.
Did we even have 20 games in that column?
We did.
One column?
We did. Yeah.
Did we even?
We only have like 4, maybe like 6, I think. Maybe it's 4. Need to go into honorable mentions over here.
Okay.
For now. I think this is actually helping us just trim it down a little bit. I think Star Wars Outlaws is a top 20 game. I think Echoes of Wisdom is top 20.
Stellar Blade for me is a top 20.
I was going to say, if Black Myth is somehow making it, Stellar Blade is definitely making it.
I think Stellar Blade, I liked it more than what I played of Black Myth.
Same, yeah.
So...
I mean, I actually played that one. So
yeah.
I mean, I love Shogun Showdown, but if I'm going to fight for an indie, it's going to be Mini Shoot. So that to me is a potential for honorable mention list. Okay. We're pretty close to having 20. I think. Let me pull these up and see. Yeah, we just need one more. Wait, I think. What am I looking at here? So if all these, let's just say, for the sake of argument, if all these were there, then yeah, I think we need 2 of these 3, or 2 of these games. I'll just kind of highlight these. 2 of these need to go to honorable mention, and then we're good for this round. We can narrow it down to 10 from there. So I think Black Myth and Shogun both go into honorable mention list from here. But
yeah. I like Mini Shoot out of like the Plucky Squires, the Shoguns, and the 3 small games. I think Mini Shoot's my favorite.
What do you think, Dan? I agree with you, Kyle.
Sure.
I don't want to fight against Dragon Age. I know you guys. Dan's playing it now. Kyle,
I'm not going to fight for that one too much because I'm the only one who played Dan.
But Dan's playing it now.
A handful of hours into it, but it's a long ass game.
But I think that deserves.
Hard to get a good feel for it.
I think it's pretty easily top 20 based on our preferences. Yeah. Jeff also likes it. I want to give him kind of an absentee little nod because I know he liked it.
I'm enjoying it right now. There's definitely things where I'm like, oh, a little bit here, a little bit there. It's like that could be a little different.
It just picks up later, because like it's a long game. It takes it takes a little bit of time to like get its footing.
Yeah, because I'm like 10 hours in, so
it's hard. I know it's hard to base like a whole game off of 10 hours. So that's why you're not going to see me fighting for it too much. So,
all right. So that is 20. We're narrowed down to. So our first little batch of honorable mentions: Black Myth Wukong, Bloomtown, A Different Story, Shogun Showdown, and UFO 50. And so now we'll jump into the much harder part of this. Of course, usually is trimming that down to 10 and then ranking those 10. So that's what we needed to get to anyway. I was trying to kind of fast forward us through that. So. By the way, I love what I played at Black Myth. Bloomtown sounds like a blast. And Shogun and UFO 50 both have really great features to them. If you're interested in a roguelike samurai game, which, by the way, we'll play some of the music later, some really bopping music in Shogun Showdown, like surprisingly good music in that game, too.
That's exciting. I'm excited.
Okay. So as far as top 10... we need to start thinking through what would be in our honorable mention list. And what we'll do, and I'm going to get rid of this right here to keep it clean and easy, The only stuff we're gonna really have Concord, of course. The only stuff that we'll collect over here are the things we think are really fighting for top 10. Everything else, I'm just gonna move down and add to this honorable mentions list, just to kind of keep it a little easier for us.
All right.
So now let's start thinking in terms of chopping this list in half. It's now alphabetically listed. What do you think belongs with the honorable mentions, and what do you think belongs in the top 10?
This is when things get dirty. This is when things start getting
things get a little
scary.
I'll kill a darling. Dragon Age of Elgard needs to go to honorable mentions.
Okay.
For a collective list.
Killing the dragon.
Think so, Dan? Dan, do you have any strong thoughts on that
Unless,
one?
Like the first 10 hours blew your skirt up in a huge way. I don't know.
I am having fun with it, and obviously, I think
it's only gonna get better. So if you're already this gets better.
All the aggression is such asinine nonsense.
I hope we don't get of it. I hope we do. I hope they punish us.
I hope BioWare. You know what? Honestly, though, Kyle, I think that's what people want at this point. I think people want BioWare to be dead. So
I think they've wanted that for a long time. So
yeah,
I think
that's. But yeah, Dragon Age
beating drum sadly since Mass Effect 3. People have been saying that.
Yeah. But yeah, I haven't. Yeah, I top 10. I wouldn't at the current moment say.
I think Plucky Squire.
It'll be different. I guarantee you, Dan, because you're a story guy. When you beat that game, you're like, oh, that's a top 10 game. But like, it just there's no knowledge in that for you. Right
that's
now,
a Kyle guarantee. Okay. We don't get a lot.
Yeah, I just I know he likes the other ones, and
Yeah, that's true.
Interesting. Okay, I am truly and annoyingly neutral on that game. I don't have a strong opinion. I understand that the noise around it is very frustrating for those who love it. Totally get that.
And I haven't really seen a lot of the noise. I think depends
on
where you're peeking in.
It's a small part of it, and it's a very vocal, annoying group. I totally get it. But I think there's more going on with that game with EA and the way they handle it and marketed it.
Yeah. I think in general, people don't like if the noise was more loud about like the practices of EA and yada yada. Like I could kind of understand why it didn't sell too well. And like this series has kind of gone down in sales since Origins. So like the trajectory has been.
But I think Inquisition sold like
maybe a little bit of a bump, but like 2 sold poorly. It reviewed pretty poorly,
Okay.
This game got pushed back a bunch of times. It had the moniker of live service game for a while. There was a lot of baggage, you know what I mean, for this game.
Well, think about BioWare, right? They had Anthem, they had Mass Effect Andromeda, which I liked, but a lot of people didn't.
Andromeda is fantastic. Everyone's wrong about it, but like I understand it is a misstep, like in their catalog. So
yeah,
I understand at least that's the perception, at least. So
yeah, so they're definitely their pattern.
BioWare has baggage right now, and EA has baggage, and like. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So this is based off of VG charts. I don't know what this site is, but like if I'm looking at this correctly, it said Origins 3.2 million, Dragon Age 2 million, Inquisition 12 million.
Oh, so Inquisition was a huge tick up. Okay.
Yeah. Which I think that was the surprise for most people that it took 10
years
for a
sequel. I thought it would be like a little bit of a tick up. I thought it would be like, 5 million. I'd be like,
Inquisition.
Well,
that was close to a console. That was PS4, Xbox One launch.
It was a launch. Yeah, it was a launch year game. So
I'm sure that probably helped too, right? Beef up the numbers.
Wanted to play like a nice, nice looking game on their new consoles.
I think Plucky Squire belongs in honorable mention, personally, based on the games I'm looking at here. And what we think will be a top 10.
I would say so. Okay. Again, it's a very
so charming.
Cool, charming, the 2 different styles, like the idea of that and everything
creative.
Going on with it. And on top of that, like the mini games and like or boss fights or whatever you want to call them, like how there's like a little bit of like nuance there and like different styles on top of that, like gameplay wise. And it's just really, really cool.
Yeah, I agree. What about Helldivers 2? Where are you guys feeling on that one?
It's in my top 10, but I've got other ones I want to fight for more.
Okay.
Yeah, I just haven't played enough of it. I haven't played enough, but it is really fun. Like of what I've played, I'm like, this is super fun. Like
incredibly fun.
Yeah.
That one's probably honorable mentions. I'll just move it down towards the bottom here. Okay, let's see what else. Call of Duty. Maybe this is time for it to go in an honorable mentions section.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said before. Yeah.
Kyle's like, yeah.
We went through all this pomp and circumstances.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing
up in
here,
the
guys?
same list it was going to end up in.
Why is Tim getting paid by Activision or from Microsoft right now?
He's a paid Activision crisis actor.
I really am. All right, yeah, that was an obvious one.
He's hawking chameleon skins or whatever the new thing is.
Yes, I am. I do think Helldivers will end up being down here. I'm looking at these other ones. I'm like, ooh, these are going to be tough.
Yeah. Again, like at this point, like we're all going to have a couple darlings we want to go to bat for.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a few games that we all played, and it doesn't leave a lot of room for a lot of these games. Like,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And I think some of those, like 2 examples, I think we all agree are good games. I don't know that any of us have it as our top game, but they're really fun. Star Wars Outlaws and Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. To me, they're in the same bucket of like, these are good 8, maybe 9 out of 10, depending on your experience with it. But they didn't. I don't know if they captured any of our number 1 spots. Maybe they did.
Not
for
number
one of
1,
you guys.
No.
But
it's in my top
both
10
good.
Outlaws, and Zelda is pretty close as well, just because of how unique it is. But
yeah, I've got I'm exactly like that, but just flipped. Zelda's right at the tail end of my top 10. It's in the bottom half of my top 10, and Star Wars Outlaws is really close. It just got edged out because Aiden Chronicle started to climb my ranks a bit and bump things down.
Yeah, it did.
Speaking of Aiden Chronicle, is that an honorable mention this year, or is it a top 10 game? Right now, for me, it is sitting essentially right at 10.
Okay.
So, like, it's not one that I would consider a darling, but am I loving it? Absolutely. But I'd rather see something like Neva or honestly Mini Shoot. I fell in love with those games more. Something about those games, the tight experience of each of those just clicked with me more, and I just really, really enjoyed both more. But I love Aiden Chronicle. It lived up to what it claimed it was going to do, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm also okay with it being an honorable mention. What do you think, Dan? Or Kyle? You both played it.
I mean, I didn't play Mini Shoot Adventures, but I mean, this entire 2024, like it had been brought up several times, so clearly you enjoyed it. It's very fun. It's a very cool concept.
It is it's super cool. I like that game quite a bit as well.
Made by 2 people.
So Ayuden for me is just like it did surprise me certain moments of the story. I'm like, because like I don't know, like I think I've mentioned this before with pixel games. I have a harder time sometimes connecting like emotionally with moments. I'm not as getting hit as hard emotionally with a game that like looks real and like something sad and terrible is happening. You know what I mean? But like there were moments in this game where I was like, oh man, I'm actually feeling something because like the voice acting is actually pretty solid. And like just some of the events happening in the game like actually does like get you. But I mean I'm just speaking to one element of it, which is just the story. Gameplay wise, it's not doing anything like crazy outrageous. Again, it's a spiritual successor to a series that already exists. So
yeah, like I have thinking of kind of really in-depth RPGs, story centric with RPG mechanics. I have Unicorn Overlord above it. I think that game is truly fantastic and at least deserves to be close to the cutoff, if not in the top 10.
Like Unicorn more than Ayuden as well, but that I did not play nearly as much Ayuden as you two did. And I liked Ayuden quite a bit. I think it's very cool. Something I will like revisit. It's deserving of,
I'm with you. I think it's deserving of all kind of attention and love. That developer deserves a ton of credit. And it is a great honorable mention for us this year, I think. Now, when we get back to it, we might circle back on this list later on and be like, why did we not include Dragon Age or Aiden Chronicle? What is wrong with us? Like, that's totally possible.
But we can't talk about it after this, so we can.
No, we're not allowed to.
We can. Okay, I take it back. We can think about it. We can't talk about it. We can think it.
Can we even do that? Can we?
Well,
so we can probably move Warhammer off since I'm the only one who played it, and I've got other ones that y'all haven't played that I would want to like pump up.
Sure.
Okay. I trust your judgment on it, one way or the other.
It's definitely a top 10 game. I mean, unless you guys hate shooting things, you guys would like it,
I love
y'all didn't play it, so we can't really move it forward too much. So
beautiful as far as like just the fidelity of it. That game is. I forgot how good that game looks.
It just and also like it is a not predatory video game. It just came out.
Yeah.
There's a few, like 3 modes. You can interact with it as much as you want to, and then you can just leave it after.
And the timing around Concord stuff was perfect because people are like, "Oh, finally something that's not trying to." Yeah.
It just felt like it got a lot of like really goodwill because like it was just a video game. It wasn't some service,
All right, yeah. I'm gonna suggest that Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom is an honorable mention this year. A really good one, but what do you think, Dan? You played it, right?
Yeah. No, I did not.
Oh, Kyle played it.
I played it. Yep.
Okay, so if we're in agreement on that, Kyle, then we can come to.
I think so.
Right? I really enjoyed it. It's very good. It's very, very good. Is it something that I want to put in over Like I realize Mini Shoot Adventures might not make the list. I'd rather it get closer. Neva, I would think, is better than it. And then for me, the game that I want as high as I'm able to fight for. Like I know Dan's feeling this way about certain games. Although I think Dan's main games other people have played. You lucky duck.
Yeah,
Kyle,
he's gonna win 2 years in a row because
of course
he picks mainstream.
But Kyle's Like a Dragon this year. I'm not saying that I have a history like he does with Like a Dragon series. I'm not suggesting that. But your love for that game, as I actually revisited this game a bit and was watching more videos on it and reading up about the story and the lore of Banishers and stuff. That is the darling I want on this list as high as I can push it. Like I love it. And I was revisiting the music for it, which there isn't a whole lot of it available, which is a bummer. They should release it. But it got me to watch some of the trailers and recaps that people have put out. And I'm like, holy crap, this game is so good. So
it absolutely looks like something I want to play. So
yeah, same. Yeah, it's still
you were talking about
emotional.
You're talking about emotional story moments and realistic looking characters. There you go. Like that's
well, it's from the Life is Strange people, right? Like
it's from Don't Nod. It's from Focus Entertainment published it. And hey, Focus, you guys are crushing it. Like
Don't Nod's crushing it. They're like, we don't need Life is Strange, and just moved on and just made cool games. Because what was the climbing game they made last year that you and Jeff liked?
Right. Jusant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, like that was them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sure was.
Hey,
yeah.
There you go.
Guys, they make good video games. Isn't that weird?
They're a very good developer.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's also they depending on who you ask, they've made the only good Life is Strange game. So
that's true.
Depending on who you ask. So
now, Kyle, have you had a chance to play much more Indiana Jones? Like to me, this is a easy top 10 game, but not if I'm. That's not.
I will go. Even though I haven't beaten this game, I will go to bat with you at Indiana Jones all day because I think it's just like it's so well.
I don't care if it finishes at 10 or 9 or whatever. Like I think it needs to be on our list. It's so good.
I think it's amazing. Yeah.
So then, if I were to have to pick a favorite between, for example, these three, I'm kind of eyeing these 5 right now, but for me, it's mainly these 3 that I love. I think out of these 3. Trying to be as objective as I can with my own rankings. It's Prince of Persia at the top. It is a top to bottom, really amazing execution on video game design. I'm so bummed that team can't make more of this. It's so good. The combat, the platforming, the music, the story is so good. But then right behind it, and I mean by a hair, is Neva. So like all of my love that I'm outpouring for Mini Shoot Adventure, I know it might end up one of the last honorable mentions to get bumped out, but those are the two. I would out of these 3, I would pick these 2, Neva and Prince of Persia. But how are you guys feeling based on what you've played of any of these, as well as Star Wars Outlaws, Stellar Blade, Unicorn? We got to start talking about some of these. And yes, everyone who's listening, I'm currently ignoring stuff like Final Fantasy, Metaphor, Astrobot.
Why?
Because they're definitely on our list.
Why? Why are you doing?
You know what? I'm gonna move those over alphabetically for now, so no one thinks we're any kind of silly business happening. I think these are absolutely on the list.
Prince of Persia yet, but I actually am happy that I have a physical copy. I think that's pretty rad. I'm glad I nabbed that. So, but I do want to get to that at some point. I mean, I love those kind of Metroidvania, wall jumping, timing things, like just feeling like an absolute badass.
Played Celeste. You're good at that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I love those games. And I mean, this has combat in it too. So, and it looks like pretty fun combat. So yeah.
Really cool, like parry system and special moves and ultimate type attacks, and man, really satisfying. Tough boss battles that are very satisfying when you figure out their patterns and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the interesting thing.
All of it, like great music. It was the guy who did. I'll look it up. I looked it up earlier. The guy who did the music for this, because I think it was this one. It was. So I don't know who Mentrix is as an artist, Mentrix, but it's also Gareth Coker of Ori and the Blind Forest fame.
Okay.
And I remember throughout this game going, why do I love this music so much? Oh, that's why. Because it's the Ori.
That's tough then, because then I'm thinking Neva, which is interesting because like Neva is like almost like a simplified version because there is combat in Neva. It's just not as complex. Yeah. But like the music is also.
Should we claim darlings now? I mean, I think you should bring over Banishers, Tim.
Okay.
That's a darling. You haven't expressed like a singular, like, this is my game. I don't care if you haven't played a game yet. And like, Dan, like, you gotta, like, is that Stellar Blade? Like, you gotta pick one. You know, like, what's your?
My darling is Rebirth, of course, but
well, you're lucky because two of yours, Metaphor and Rebirth, are over here.
You're not understanding the assignment.
But if there's something that you're like, hey, and maybe we moved it over here.
The game that's probably gonna win Game of the Year is already over there.
Yeah,
you can pick it. Darling. Yeah?
Come on,
hey, listen, spoiler alert, Kyle.
Come on.
All right, so if I have to be honest with and I mean, maybe this is just because I just finished Neva. I feel like Neva edges out Stellar Blade just ever so slightly.
It sounds like Neva's gonna end up over there anyways.
I'd be thrilled.
Yeah. Okay.
All of us like Neva. Like, I think that's probably gonna end up there anyway.
Well, then Stellar Blade would be what you're saying then.
Because you don't have a singular darling. Like, I've got Like a Dragon. Y'all haven't played that. Y'all have no connection to it. So y'all just have to like trust me that I'm right or something, like I have to do with Banishers, even though I know I would love Banishers. I bought it for Christ's sake. So so it's like you should get you should get one that you're championing. That's yours.
Put the sexy but I played lady Stellar Blade.
I think Tim's at least played the demo, so it's like he at least have some kind of idea of
it.
But
did you guys do skin suit on hard mode? I don't think so. Right?
No, I got to the first section.
I don't even know what that means. That sounds dirty. I don't like
it actually is dirty because it looks like she's naked, but she's not. Her outfit, right, which is pretty skin tight, but the skin suit is like the flesh colored suit, which makes the game more difficult because it removes the shield. So, and I played it on hard. So that was the challenge that I did when I was streaming. I streamed it on hard. Skin suit. And I didn't do any extra upgrades too. I didn't upgrade extra health, so I made it really difficult for myself.
I think it's safe to put Neva over here, and that really leaves us with 2 spots for these 5 remaining games. We've got Dragon's Dogma 2, Mini Shoot Adventures, Unicorn, Prince of Persia, Star Wars Outlaws. Listen, all of these, I think, I've played all of them at least a little bit, if not all. Like Mini Shoot Adventures, I 100%ed. Unicorn Overlord, I've got probably 20 hours in. Dragon's Dogma 2, I played about 10. Prince of Persia, I didn't 100%, but got pretty close. Star Wars Outlaws, I'm just under halfway through that game and really enjoying it. So, like, I personally have played all these and have thoughts on each of them, but I'm curious what you guys think on these 5. Which 2 do you think? But if the ones that are on the right are correct and they belong in there, then which of these 2 should join them? Or is there anything else on the right that maybe we prematurely bumped over?
I mean, out of the ones on the left, I finished Dragon's Dogma 2 and Outlaws, so those are the only 2 that I actually played and finished.
Okay.
I haven't touched the other ones.
Played at all? Okay.
Yeah.
I think Kyle, Mini Shoot Adventures because honorable mention, right?
Yeah,
that can stay over here. That clears one of them out. Okay.
We can't. We'd have no cred if we move 2 indie games over into a Game of the Year list. We would lose all of our cred.
We lose all our cred.
And we have a lot. We have a lot of cred.
We have so much cred to lose, guys. Yeah, we have to be careful.
Gotta bank that cred.
We gotta be careful. I mean, I just have a bad taste in my mouth from playing Dragon's Dogma 2, so I'm trying not to be a wet blanket about it.
And that's my 3rd favorite game of the year. So
I'm trying to be
a very wet.
Is it in your top 10? If you do you have a top 10, Dan?
Oh yeah, for sure.
On there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going over. We got to pick one more game then, because if that's in both your top 10s, and I also played a lot of it.
I feel like it has to be Unicorn Overlord, right? Like, you guys love Unicorn Overlord, but do you love it more than Star Wars?
Star Wars is on my top. I don't know, man. This is so loaded. I feel like Star Wars has a lot of baggage too,
Well,
And Prince of Persia, I started playing when I hit my I hate Metroidvania mass point.
Oh no!
My favorite genre ever. Growing up. I can't play those games anymore. I just, for whatever reason, and that's not the game's fault, because I thought the combat in that game was spectacular. Everything that Tim said about that game is absolutely correct. It just hit at a point where I was oversaturated with Metroidvania games.
Can I tell you that as I'm looking at my list here, Prince of Persia is my 3rd favorite game of the year. I just realized.
I think we should bring that over, because I've at least played it. I know Dan's going to play it. I know Dan knows that it's quality. I think that feels better than Star Wars Outlaws and
Unicorn. I have at 7, although I need to look at this one. I think it's probably more like 8 or 9. So I love it. It's just so good.
I like it a lot too. Yeah,
it's not a must-have on this.
I just haven't played. I haven't played enough of it for it to land in my 10.
Okay, so I don't. And Star Wars Outlaws is just outside my 10, but I still really like it. My son is about to finish it, and he thinks I'll like it more if I keep pushing through the story.
Yeah, the last half of that game is so much better than the first half of that game. Yeah. It's incredible. Yeah.
But are we feeling okay about Prince of Persia going over Star Wars Outlaws?
It's your number 3. I feel like that means something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You're already dealing with our Dragon Age 2 stuff or Dragon's Dogma 2 stuff.
I'm looking at my personal list,
like
and actually that means that 5 of my top 10, no, my top 5 are all in if we do that. So I don't want to be unfair.
It is what it is. I mean, it's not like these are like, it's not like you're being like, I like this game, and it's like objectively like a 2 out of 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not me saying Earth Defense Force 6 needs to be over here, guys. Y'all are crazy. Come on. I don't care if it got 6s. Come on, guys.
That'd be like me fighting for Maneater a few years ago, which, by the way, I wanted to get because that game was stupid and so fun. Okay, so that narrows us down to 10. That makes it a lot simpler, I think. And I think this is probably the right 10 based on our. Now, if you guys have your own personal list nearby, do you have them handy or do you just know them? Yeah. Like, is there anything from especially your top 5 that's missing? Because I'd be willing to, before we move forward, swap something out if we need to. So. Especially if it's your number 1 or number 2. Like, is there a top game that's missing?
You answer, Dan. I think I'm okay. Did you see?
I mean,
something?
I go from the heart, so.
I know.
I don't be writing this stuff down.
Yeah, well, your heart is inside of you right now, isn't it? Go. Yeah.
It's somewhere.
Yeah,
I know that your top 2 are in here, Dan, for sure. I just didn't know if there's any others that you have as like really highly ranked that you would want in there.
I mean, honestly, I'm pretty comfortable with this list.
Okay.
I mean, there are definitely. I mean, there would be
represented.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, if we sat here like in
we have enough
crossover,
longer,
like, like, oh, like this, instead of that, but it would be like little nitpick things. So like,
we have enough crossover with our lists that I think hopefully everything's represented here pretty well. All right, so here we go with our 10. I think it's safe to put some of those darlings we just wanted on the list in the bottom half to get things started.
Yeah.
And then we'll see if they edge their way up a little higher or not. So that includes stuff like Banishers. That includes like a Dragon, which is our annual. Let's put Yakuza in our top 10, but not too
y'all
high.
Give me one every year, and I appreciate it. So,
we can put that higher.
Y'all give me a Yakuza slot every year, and I appreciate it. So.
Can I just say this real quick? Because it's not at all on my list because I haven't played it. Let's make it the number 1 just for Kyle. Let's just make it.
Man, what an upset!
Who saw that coming?
My God!
He broke him in
coming
half.
down with a steel cage match. Oh my God, he's got a chair.
All right, so I think Banishers, like a Dragon, Prince of Persia, Stellar Blade, likely in the bottom half. I think probably Neva too, in the bottom half. But maybe again, it might be 6 or 5, but it's probably in the bottom half. We haven't talked about Astrobot. I don't want to assume maybe that's in the bottom half. I have Astrobot as it was actually my number 1 game until I re-ranked things kind of really just before the show started.
Damn Red Dead Redemption. You just screwed up everything.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
You played Red Dead, you're like, Astrobot, stupid. Let's move that down.
All right, so Red Dead Redemption 2 and Like a Dragon.
So no major spoilers here. Like, who cares? My number 1 game of the year was Banishers when I re-evaluated everything. Okay. It's my favorite game of the year. And it might change if I look back on it. If I replay it, I'm like, it's got too many issues, whatever, but like it just stuck with me the most. It was the most impactful game for me. Yeah. But Astrobot is a very, very, very close second, with Prince of Persia being right behind that. So those are like my personal top 3, and then we get into some of our shared games like Rebirth, Indiana Jones, Neva. Some of those games start to fall into place after that. For me personally, the games that stuck with me that I can't stop thinking about that are my personal faves. So I don't think any of those are gonna be like top 5 unless you guys also share my love for Astrobot. So that's the only one to me that might be like, hey, that's top 5, but I don't know if you guys, if you still think of it as highly as I do.
I think it was very highly, very, very, very highly not in my top 10. So y'all won't hear me like fighting on that one because like I have nothing but good things.
It's like dang it, that game's good, but it's not.
Yeah,
like
yeah, exactly.
I've got a lot of games like that.
I'm happy to have that anywhere on this list because I think it deserves it more than most games. So
yeah. And Dan, you played it and finished
it too.
Your passion
about Astrobot. Where are your passion levels at?
Yeah, I did play and finish. Yeah, I did really enjoy it. Again, shooting from the hip, from my heart to my hip. It would be at the bottom half. It's just like I don't know. Everyone probably does this, right? You just automatically go like, "Oh, Mario, 3D Mario games," and it's just like there are excellent things about that game. It's just I don't know. Just feel like it still is missing that thing that just. I mean, I don't know. Mario's been around for so long, so maybe there's just that bias of like I grew up with Mario, and it's just extra special to me. It just doesn't quite hit the Mario levels.
It's your anti-robot biase. I get it.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Just anti-AI robots. You know, they're gonna take over, guys. But I think I said before, like to me, it's like a good beginning, like the building blocks of something really excellent that like when they do Astrobot 2, you'll be like, oh man, like this is the Mario Odyssey. You know what I mean?
You heard it here first. Dan thinks Jeff Keighley is crazy for giving this game of the year.
Oh, I mean, Keighley is absolutely insane. He's absolutely insane. Come on, Erdtree. Come on, Erdtree.
All right, so I'm thinking
Elatro.
that Prince of Persia, having barely squeaked in, is our number 10, with probably something like a Stellar Blade right above it.
I'm fine. Yeah, Stellar Blade to me, like when I'm looking at like the ones that you said towards the bottom, like what I think Like a Dragon is like the highest quality out of all of those.
I think so that's too. I was going to put it at the top.
Y'all are being way too nice, so that's what I think.
No, not at all.
Way too nice about this.
Not even just because there's so much stuff in the game. It just clearly is a high quality series.
Yes, it absolutely. I mean, and the scores were outstanding.
I was gonna say, Kyle, that's what's got me thinking. Like, we can't score it too low because it got like a 91.
Yeah. I mean, it was
like it pretty much tied Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in its critic scores. Pretty much tied with it. Like,
and like crazy. Final Fantasy, it's just content rich, like kind of Dan was talking about in terms of just like, you can go in any direction and do a completely different thing.
Now, I, for example, would hate for it to finish below Dragon's Dogma 2, even just based on what I know of it and what I played at Dragon's Dogma 2. That's just where I land on it. So, like, if let's, for example, if Like a Dragon finished at 5, then to me, Dragon's Dogma can't finish higher than that. As I'm just looking at the games that are left here, I'm trying to compare things I've actually played. Neva and Astrobot, those are high on my list. Banishers,
we all played those. Yeah, Neva and Astrobot were games that all three of us played, all three of us loved. You know, so I feel like those, because it's a combined list, end up maybe higher than your Like a Dragons and your Banishers and stuff like that. Yeah.
I think Banishers is probably sitting around here somewhere with Like a Dragon, probably there. Tell me about Dragon's Dogma 2. Dan, you finished it too. I know Kyle's got it in his top 3, which I don't want to besmirch. What do you think?
Yeah, like Kyle, like you've said before, like there's like a jank to the game, and I don't know if jank's the right word.
I don't know. There's a weirdness to the game that doesn't connect with everybody, and I mean in the movement and like the combat and like there's just
that's what I don't understand, because that's what makes it so special. And honestly, like
that's what the fan base says, but like it just felt like a game that was for a very specific group of people, and that's like
who doesn't want to climb monsters?
Love Dragon Age 1.
That part was fun. Climbing monsters was fun. Fighting was not fun for me personally.
You picked the worst class.
I think the class just doesn't fit you.
I wish you would have picked a better class.
You know what's funny? After that conversation, just so you guys know that I'm listening. Okay? I'm listening to you. You guys mean a lot to me. I value your opinions. I actually went and I looked at it for a minute, and I was like, do I reinstall this thing? Do I pick a different, like, I'll just start fresh on this game. And then I looked up a little bit, and there was Arthur pointing his gun at me, and I was like,
yeah, you made the right choice. No, you made the right choice.
It's like, well, hey, listen here, Tim, what are you doing?
If you were really listening, the Kyle in your head would have been like, sure, play the game. Yeah. So
do it, boy.
Do it, boy.
Listen, we need more money.
And a little bit of money.
But I say that, of course, joking around, but also seriously, there's a part of me that is like, I think I screwed up my own experience with that game. And I know you guys have done that before too with games you've experienced.
Sure.
You're like, I think I did it. Like you mentioned Prince of Persia, when you play a game in a genre that at that moment you're burnt out on, you just don't feel up to right now. Like,
what if Prince of Persia came out 6 months later when I was on a 1-year hiatus from Metroid?
Might have been your top game.
Yeah, dude, seriously, absolutely, man.
Like a Dragon.
I think timing is everything, you know.
And similarly, that game finished, I think, with 87s, 88s on the critic review averages. So
huge scores for that game.
Yeah, and that's a Ubisoft game. Critics kind of naturally.
Is it the best reviewed Ubisoft game of the year?
Oh, easily, yeah.
Yeah.
What, Star Wars or?
No, Prince of Persia.
Oh, Prince of Persia. Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Which I know it's like that's a Ubisoft game. Yeah, it is.
And they like shut down that studio.
They moved them around, but
they dispersed them, which is crazy, right?
Go work on the pirate game or whatever.
So I mean, to me, it sounds like Neva and Astrobot would maybe even be above Dragon's Dogma 2, even though maybe Dan and I enjoyed Dragon's Dogma 2 more than your Astrobots and stuff like that. But we've all played and loved that. You know what I mean? Right. You have to start thinking about it as like a combined list and like, you know, the more that we have played together. And I know that's not going to always be the case because, you know, we have our metaphors and
that's why I think it's
we have our Indiana Joneses as well, who we're kind of split on who's played what there.
100%. That's why something like Rebirth is obviously probably top game, but definitely in the top 3. That's why I think something like Indiana Jones and Metaphor, I really love what Metaphor is doing. I just didn't get into that game. Something about it just didn't click with me. Just like the Persona games, they're just not my type. There's something with the style and all that. I feel jealous of people who do enjoy them because I'm like, I know I should like it, and I know it's objectively excellent. I just can't get into them. I don't know why.
It definitely feels like a tall ask. Like it's just like it feels like this like it's this huge pool.
That's a big part of
this massive pool that you're just getting thrown into. You're like, oh shit, I gotta swim. Like I don't know.
You know that feeling when you're jealous? You're like, dude, I want to love that game. I want to play it and love it like everyone else does, and I feel like left out.
Any Souls game, I know.
Most Souls games, yes, I get it. So that's kind of how I feel there. But anyway, all that to say, that's why I wonder if you know, you mentioned we all played and loved Neva. How high would you guys see that one going, for example?
I mean, I've played an hour of Neva, so, you know, it getting higher and higher, it'd be one of those things that you two would have to be.
You're like 1/4 of the way through the game.
Yeah, sure. I know that's not. I say that knowing that it's not a long game either. So,
Dan, what do you think when you wrapped it up? First of all, beautiful game.
So there was. You know, it's funny and ironic. My least favorite season is winter. I hate the winter. I don't like the cold.
So right now, yes.
As I'm getting right now, it's winter time. I hate it. As I'm getting older, I'm like such an old man about it's the cold is coming in.
My shoulder's starting to hurt.
My bones are aching. I need more money. But that being said, the winter section in this game is my favorite because it's the shots. There's a shot where you're running along, and then you're on this like frozen lake or whatever pond, and I stopped. I literally stopped and I just stared. Like my wife was sitting beside me. I was like, I made some kind of a noise, like a gasp or something. And then she's like, wow, that's really beautiful. I just like sat there and just stared, like legit for like 5 minutes, and just the music and like that ambient music that's playing. Like, I mean, Gris was also very beautiful. Like, you know,
this did it more for me than Gris did.
Me too. I like Gris way more than Gris. Yeah. You know, I like Gris a lot. Like that came out like, get rid of Gris. You know,
get it off this list. Oh, never mind.
People know how to make a cool looking game.
They do. But, and Berlin is both games.
On
the music.
And distinct in this one because again the season, so like the music is also kind of like working with what the season is, so it's like it's very tailored to, you know, like this is like kind of has a spring vibe and a summer vibe.
But is it Journey and did it make you cry? That's the real question.
I mean, I can't. You know what? I can't say, Kyle. I can't say if it did because you haven't finished it. So
that's fair.
So are there any games that we're still discussing here? And I appreciate your love for Neva because I adore that game too. Are there any games that actually belong in the category, again, collective category here, beside Rebirth and Metaphor? Like if those two are kind of...
I feel real strongly about Indiana Jones as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say because it seems like you guys were surprised and really enjoy Indiana Jones. So.
Jeff was too, and the world was.
Yep.
This is like the very first time Microsoft has gotten anything right in 20 years.
Right.
It feels like so. It feels like that at least. Yeah. So
finally, they get a win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything about that game is, I mean, it just nails the Indiana Jones vibe. It's like it understands what makes the heart of Indiana Jones beat as an IP. And it's like they understood it and they were like, let's turn it into video game form, and they did it. And I'm not saying it's executed to perfection. I'm not, because there are elements of, we talked about this before, like the climbing with gameplay. We discussed this a little bit. Sometimes the climbing or the bug that I hit, of course, like, yes, those things are problems for sure. But just think about a game that you've played that's clicking on all cylinders, like Metaphor, for example. And if it happened to have a couple of those technical issues, you would push right past those so quickly because you're loving everything else about it. Like that's my experience with Indiana Jones. I think the dialogue is amazing. The action's been super fun. The stealth's been really fun. Again, it would rank in the bottom of any list about like AI perception, because the stealth perception is hilariously bad. Like they should totally see you a lot more than they do. But
yeah,
I'm kind of glad they don't.
It's very forgiving. Yeah.
Very forgiving in that.
Yeah. It's like Shadows of Mordor levels of forgiving, where like you're standing right next to them and they're like, he's crouched, I can't see him.
But because of like a leaf of a bush happens to be touching your forehead, they're like, can't see him. Can't see him. So yeah, I think this game is excellent. It's in my top 5. That's where it's finished so far. It might even... No, I don't think it's going to pass, just to be fair, just to be really clear too. I don't think it's going to pass Rebirth for me. It's not that good. Like Rebirth is truly excellent across virtually every category of what makes a video game good. Indiana Jones is really close though, and that says a lot for the first game in a series like that. Like that's crazy. So yeah, I think that one belongs right alongside, for example, Astrobot, probably Indiana Jones 4, Astrobot 5, or maybe 3, 4, something like that. I don't know. That's kind of where my head is on it at the moment. Yeah, but I do think
I have nothing. I was going to say I have nothing to contribute with Indiana Jones, unfortunately. So
yeah, I'd put Indiana Jones on a collective list either at 7, just below Like a Dragon, or at 5, just above it. And I'm okay if Astrobot maybe swaps with either of those spots with it, but I do love Astrobot. So
I think maybe Astrobot at 5 and Indiana Jones at 7, or knock Like a Dragon down to 6 and put Indiana Jones at 7, since 2 people have played that. Maybe, you know.
Well, what do you? I mean, obviously you like Infinite Wealth.
Well, I put 100 hours into one, and I put 8 hours into the other. So you tell me, Dan.
I don't know, man. You know?
You're like Indiana Jones. Yeah.
You know what?
I should have beaten Indiana Jones by now, but like the sweet, sweet devil temptation of Red Dead Redemption 2 that's getting Tim right now, I'm in that hole, and everything's getting in. All the homework I was supposed to be doing, all of it got ignored.
You know what I'm doing? You know what I'm doing? Just because Banishers is my number 1 and Indiana Jones has a game-breaking bug, I'm bumping Banishers above it by 1.
I'll allow it.
Putting Banishers at 7.
Here I was thinking it's going to be like 4 or 5, and it goes all the way down to 8.
It was going to lock in at 7.
I was kind of feeling like it was going to be at 4 there for a second. Yeah, I kind of picked up on that too.
That's what I'm thinking. And then I'm thinking that it's Dragon's Dogma at 4.
I mean, how are we feeling about Neva being over Astrobot, or is it Astrobot Neva? You know, like what are we? How are we feeling there?
I almost feel like Tim's being too generous with Dragon's Dogma at 4, but I mean, not like offended by that, but
yeah, I
wouldn't mind Dragon's Dogma being like at 5. Well, you know what I mean, like because we've all played Astrobot, we all like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we collectively enjoyed Astrobot, or only 2 of us really enjoyed Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah, but where's Neva in all this though? Like y'all need to speak more on like is it just a pretty game with cool music, or is this gonna a game that you're gonna go back to and play again?
What do you think about the combat, Dan, when it was all said and done? There's some pretty like surprisingly like, hey, that wasn't too bad combat moments, but not like a lot, and it wasn't
definitely towards the end of the game it was better because there was a couple boss fights there that were definitely making me move more and figure out the timing of it.
Some fun special abilities, right? With like sending the wolf at him and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's definitely, and there's a couple of segments where there's enemies coming from like both sides. So you're like, oh shit, I have to like look both. I'm like literally looking back, and the timing of them is not exactly the same. So you're like, oh, like, all right, which one's gonna go first? So like then you're paying attention to that one real quick, and then but still having to pay attention to the other side. So definitely surprisingly, as the game goes further along, you are having to move and dodge and dash around more than I thought I would in a game that was made by a developer that made Gris. So
yeah, where Gris was literally just a walking, you're just walking right to left.
Yeah, it was like a platformer. It was like a
platformer.
Yeah. But like, yeah, again, like Prince of Persia just seems like there's definitely much more going on, more depth in the combat for sure.
Big time. Yeah. Yeah. Big time.
Yeah. And again, it's a Metroidvania. Like Neva's not a Metroidvania, but it's just like it's a nice breezy, like 4-hour, beautiful, like visually.
If
musically.
Journey ended up on a bunch of people's top 10s, something like Neva should too. You know what I mean? Like these are like art encapsulated games. Like I don't know, these are important. Like when you're packaging up visuals and sound in such a way that like moves people. Like that matters.
I have not replayed Gris since it came out, but I definitely want to, and then like play Neva pretty close after that again, because I like want to compare them a little bit better, especially like the music, because I like really love the music of Gris, so I'm like kind of curious in my head. I'm like, do I actually love it? Like
they're almost like animated like albums more than anything else. You're just kind of watching animation.
Right. You're like watching a music video or playing a music video or something.
Yeah. Now, Neva a little more in depth than that, but yeah, I think as I think more about Astrobot, like I probably I didn't like film myself playing. I wasn't like streaming or anything, but I'm pretty sure I had a stupid smile on my face the entire time I played that game.
Now, even the gimmicks I like really liked a lot. Like I felt like a lot of the gimmicks, and there was so many times where like the physics would take over, like in a room full of balls or something, and just seeing everything. It's just kind of impressive, like the technicality of it. And the imagination of it, and the love song that it acted as for the PlayStation brand in a way that they've never tried before or nailed before or attempted before. Like it's again, it's getting Game of the Year in a lot of places for a reason.
Like I had never played the Ape Escape games, but playing that little section, it's like the first sort of bonus level you get where you take over as another character. I was like, this is so freaking fun. It's so stupid.
Just have these guys make a new one.
Even the joy that you get from just seeing an Astrobot version of your favorite characters was just like, oh my god.
Like the Bloodborne guy. I was like, hey!
The second I found like a Metal Gear Solid character somewhere, and I realized I had missed so many in that level, I'm like, well, I got to do that level and you get them all. Like, who else is here?
Well, not only that, who else is here? So you save, for example, Psycho Mantis, and you bring him back, and he's on your little island area. But then if you unlock using your money, you can unlock the decorations. You can give him his little TV.
This is another thing that, again, like we like to bring up that this thing stole a lot from Nintendo, a lot, because it did. And this is another thing, like this is a Super Smash Brothers thing where you would take your extra coins and put it into the toy dispenser, and it would give you a trophy. And like this has been around since the first Super Smash Brothers, so it's like that joy though that both Astrobot and your Super Smash Bros. When they attempt something like that, I don't know why. Like getting
it's so satisfying.
Like getting the little toy for Psycho Mantis, and now he's interacting with it like in your home like hub world or whatever. There's just
charming.
Just charming. It's joy, It is a joy factory.
Also, there is something like when you get 100 of them to stack up and then fall down and then become a bridge for you, and as you walk over them, they're reacting to you like these little touches that they put. Yeah, the little noises and whatever. Like, dude, I will say very impressive.
I think I had mentioned before previously. I was like, oh, the game kind of overall felt pretty easy. It was, and that doesn't make it not fun. It just felt easy.
The main line is relatively easy. Yes.
Yes. But the levels that pertain to the buttons, like those challenging levels. Like the actual challenge levels, like those are really fun, and those would take me a few turns.
And Mario's easy too, like these are games that are made for like mass audiences and stuff like that. Again, like Mario Wonder had those like really hard levels as well if you really want to. So I do like that mixture of like, hey, like this is breezy, but also like if you really want to like throw your controller across the room, here's these as well. I
appreciate that they did that as well. That it wasn't just like what the main line, the storyline, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't just that. They were like, yeah, we got to have like, the challenging stuff. So it's, again, they ticked all the boxes of like what a 3D platformer, should be.
And they give you good replay reasons too. It's got all the platforming collectibles you would want, including like a little bird friend who will be the little like radar to help you find the stuff you missed as you go back through the level. I think it's almost like the developers did. I don't know. Every time they were like, okay, that's good enough, they decided to add 5 or 6 more things to the little corners of each world and each little design. So I was incredibly impressed by what I saw with Astrobot. I think it's very deserving of the Game of the Year awards that it gets. I think for us, seeing it any higher than 3 for sure would be surprising. And I also think 5 is fine for it too. So I'm okay either way. I'd like to see it above Dragon's Dogma 2, just because I was going to say that's
kind of where it seems like it's going to be is above, like Dragon's Dogma 2 maybe at 5, and then Neva, and then Astrobot, or then Dragon's Dogma 2, Astrobot, then Neva.
I'd put Astrobot above Neva, but I wouldn't like fight to. I just think as a video, I was top to bottom.
I was thinking like as we're talking, like it seemed like Astrobot 3, Neva 4, and then Dragon's Dogma 5. That's what it seemed like to me.
That feels right. That feels right to me. And then. I mean, it's funny. This top 2 is so easy for no other reason than all 3 of us played and loved Rebirth
and beat and completed
like
it. 60+ hour video
That's
game.
Right. That's right. Yeah. And it finished so high on our shared rankings, despite our back and forth on some elements of it. It finished so high on our shared rankings of visuals, gameplay, and when we listen to music, it's going to feature in the like. What element is it missing? That doesn't mean. Just to be so everyone's very clear, listening or watching this, that doesn't mean that Kyle or Dan are saying that they prefer it over Metaphor. But as a collective group, it's like 3 of us played and finished and loved it, and Metaphor, 2 of us played and finished and loved it. And so, I don't know. Is there any discussion to be had to compare these two?
I don't think so. But I would just like to hear. Just put Dan on the spot for a second here and go. What RPG is better, Dan?
Yeah.
What's a better what's a better
Rebirth
JRPG?
Is an action RPG, so
So Metaphor, you're right. Okay, I agree. Metaphor is the better JRPG.
That's all he wanted to hear.
Boom.
Thank you.
Boom, got him.
Thank you for agreeing with me, Dan. Thank you for falling into my trap.
I mean, Metaphor is literally a turn-based RPG.
7 with an asterisk.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Not a real RPG.
I didn't actually fire up the game to play it anymore, but I've especially with doing music, but also just kind of watching some stuff on YouTube or whatever, other people's Game of the Year, and hearing people talk about it. Like, Rebirth did something that I don't think even the most casual Final Fantasy VII fan would have ever imagined. Like, to see it brought to life in a modern way, the way that they did, is amazing.
And I heard that people find the ending contentious, but I haven't really seen that online. Like, I didn't see a lot of people going, "Wow, they ruined my childhood." Wow,
sure.
Okay, yeah. You need to stop hanging out in the.
Yeah.
You need to stop hanging out in the corners of the internet you're hanging out.
Wherever you're going,
you always experience these like crazy negative things that like.
So here's the thing.
Refocus your internet.
I'm pretty much about to delete my Twitter/X soon. I was only holding on to it.
Where you see it? Okay.
Yeah, most of it is in that cesspool of a fucking place. And I've only been mostly holding on to it just because I'm communicating with a couple of people about just some stuff pertaining to streaming. But I'm gonna be deleting that very soon.
Yeah.
It's
Bring those.
It's got a really handy little like mute feature. You can just stop seeing.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with Twitter though. They used to be you block people and they wouldn't see your shit, but then freaking Elon, because he's a giant baby, he turned that off. So you can block people, but they'll still see your stuff. Like
he does kind of. Like
they can basically
baby.
still stalk you.
Yeah,
it's pretty gross.
Let's just pause.
It's a terrible
he
place.
Does kind of look like a giant baby, like with his head.
He dances like one too.
It kind of acts like one also.
Weird.
He kind of throws his hands around, his arms around.
What's that saying about ducks quacking and walking? And
I will say, if that dude hadn't invented so many cool freaking things, then there's like, why is he famous? But like,
But
guys,
did he invent anything, or did the engineers that he hired invent them?
You're right. It could be a Steve Jobs thing, right? Thank you, Bill Burr. Yeah, it could be that.
Because it seems like to me he's just a weird guy with a lot of money.
Jobs? Have you seen Bill Burr complain about Steve Jobs?
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it could be like that.
Special by Bill Burr here very soon on Hulu, FYI.
Yeah, March 14th.
Thank you, Dan, for the specifics.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, it's on my calendar.
All right, listen. I want to listen to some music. I'm going to put Rebirth as our number one game. This is silly.
Even though Dan admitted that metaphor was a better Jeremy.
But I may have said that.
Nope, that's it. That's a hard period.
but speaking about Stellar Blade, I just want to say, so I love that you said that, Tim, about 7, because I do frequent more social medias than you guys, and not like I'm always on social medias or I'm on a ton. It's just I do more than you guys. So I do see the vitriol and all the bullshit and the whining. And like, to me, it's like, guys, listen, like, this game is like, Rebirth to me is like an absolute marvel. Like, the amount of stuff that's in this game is insane.
It's insane amount of content for one video game.
But not even just content. It's just like the amount of music in this game is insane, and all the different iterations of these tracks that we know and love. Like, there's multiple different versions of them. Like, it's absolutely insane. And just and mini games and just the story that they're like. Listen, say what have whatever opinions you want about the story. It is what it is. OG7 still exists. Just go play OG7. It's fine.
People don't understand that concept. People have no idea.
They don't, but that's how it is. Like, just go play the original game and just stop being a giant baby and complaining like a toddler. Like, this does exist. These people are artists. You know what? I think people have a hard time removing the suit aspects. You know, the corporation, the suits, away from the artists. Artists don't want to just copy and paste the shit that they made before. They want to do something new if they can, and that's what they're doing.
It would have been very easy to just make Final Fantasy VII beat for beat, line for line, with prettier graphics, it be turn-based, and just like put it out, and we all just be like, that was awesome. Instead, they're going for something high concept, huge. They're really swinging for the fences, you know.
Risk.
I mean, it's even the little changes they do, even the stuff being kind of out of order, or maybe it doesn't happen exactly as you remember. You know, like, these are
a little bit here and there.
You are toying with people's nostalgia, which we all know is everybody's greatest feeling.
Dangerous.
You know? So
the
fact that while that vitriol exists, the fact that it was still getting 90s, it was still getting 9s, it was still getting great reviews. You know, so many people liked it. It didn't sell maybe to Square Enix's crazy expectations that they always have. Like, it is considered a home run. You know, and
sometimes you have to like take yourself out of the larger conversation of battling with people who hate a thing that you love. Just think about the moments of playing that game that just made you go, "Oh, this is awesome." Whether it was getting to the gold saucer or to the island, the beach, I forget what it's called.
Costa del Sol.
Costa del Sol. Or getting to bounce around on those giant mushrooms on your chocobo, or maybe it's the parade scene where you got to get the thing right.
Awesome. Keep it going to the live stream was breathtaking.
Maybe it's these flashbacks with Sephiroth where you start to see Cloud go crazy, where he almost kills someone that he loves. Like a flashback in your old town as you're sitting on the water tower. Like, it has so many moments that are like,
and the audacity that they have to like just string you along with all the Zack stuff is insane. What a swing story wise, you know. It's really unfortunate his voice actor is who he is, but I hate Zack's voice actor so much.
I like the original one.
Me too. Yeah. From Crisis Core.
I mean, he's fine. He's fine, but
hey, it also has one of the better. I know some people love other mini games a lot better. I love the card game in this. I think Queen's Blood is an awesome card game.
Yeah.
Really cool concept.
I forced myself to learn it, and I ended up never losing a match ever again. So
it
was one of the
very fun, very satisfying. And other really fun mini games too. Like some of those games that if you could spend a lot of time at the Gold Saucer or elsewhere playing a lot of the little mini games.
I did. I sat there and played the Golden Saucer stuff for a long time. Like, I loved doing. Like,
if you want to go hunting, if you like exploring, like, it's got so many of the things that people. If you love open world games, you can do it. If you love RPGs, you can plan out and strategize every friggin' little battle if you want to. Which some people don't want to. It's totally fine. You don't have to, but like you can, and it'll optimize your team in a way that you'll not hit the frustrations that I probably hit, because I jumped into a lot of battles not really wanting to pause and edit everything. Probably should have, maybe would have had a much easier time. But man, it's just so good top to bottom. And it's all got this beautiful visuals top to like the characters and the setting. It's just gorgeous to look at.
I mean, think about like again, like we said, like the pre-rendered backgrounds. Like you look at them and like there's not just I mean, there's some depth there, but it's like they're pre-rendered. You kind of like imagine in your head like the little like what you're kind of fitting back there, but not so. And you're having to like take that and stretch it into a 3D world like that's like one for one like realistically sized. It's actually insane. And the overworld map, like having to then create that in a sort of like almost fully open world, because it's not quite open world, but it's pretty much almost there, right?
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah, it's a interconnected open areas. Yeah,
just big areas.
I challenge any of you who don't like this game, go ride around in the Segway at Costa del Sol and tell me that this isn't like one of the happiest things ever. Like, it's just so great. And you're segwaying around in that. Oh, it's so
Cloud
good.
in his swim trunks on a Segway, just chilling.
So good. So good.
Absolutely. And say what you will about the ending, but listen, it made you guys talk about it, didn't it? Just like the OG one did. Yeah. So they did a thing. They did the thing that they did 20 whatever years ago. They made you think.
Understand it enough to be mad about it. If I'm going to be totally honest,
I don't think we have all the pieces yet. You know what I mean?
I don't think I totally understand enough about like what reality are we in and what actually happened.
Yeah. Like I feel like if you have a really hard opinion about stuff after seeing all the Zack stuff, like in the final boss fight, I feel like you're filling in blanks that haven't actually literally been filled in yet. You know?
I don't think
I do agree that like there is a nebulous nature to like what reality we're existing in.
But that's what they don't like, Kyle. That's what they don't like. They don't like the nebulousness.
I don't like questions. I hate existentialism.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when I know some people loved Lost all the way to the ending, and God bless you if you did. I don't hate it, but like I loved the first few seasons especially. I liked the rest of it, but I loved the first. So when a season would end, and I'd be like, what the heck just happened? I don't understand this, but I couldn't wait till the next season so I could put more add more pieces in. That's how I felt at the end of this. I'm like, dude, I don't understand all the pieces, but I know the characters, I know their motivations, I have an idea of what I think might have happened. I'm reading some theories online. Man, I can't wait for this third game so I can understand.
Nobody likes those surprises anymore. Everyone's just cynical about everything because again, I think it's the suit aspect.
And it's also the instant gratification nature of entertainment. You know, I want to interact with something and I want to get the serotonin immediately. Totally I don't want to wait, you know.
Yeah.
I want payoffs now, not later. I just don't think we have and that comes from this is not a rally against like streaming content and stuff like that, like like seasons all at once or whatever, but like it all feeds into itself. We engage with thank you. Yeah, we engage with entertainment in a way where we do get instant satisfaction, and so when it doesn't happen now, like some people just can't get over it, you know.
Sure.
And I get
By the way,
but
I'd be interested to see. I would love to see some sort of study for sports fans, because we're also trained on binging and knowing. As soon as we want to know, we can know. But sports fans have to wait. They have to wait until the game is actually played, until the game finishes. Sure. Like this, you can't fast forward. Like it's like I wonder if there's a different level of stress and anxiety now because your brain's been trained that you don't have to wait. It's right there for you. Just go see it. Like I wonder if there's more anxiety than ever before for sports fans. I bet you there is. But guys, this is a great top 10. Our honorable mentions are also awesome with Black Myth Wukong, Bloomtown, Call of Duty, Dragon Age, Aiden Chronicles, Helldivers 2, Mini Shoot Adventures, Shogun Showdown, Star Wars Outlaws, Echoes of Wisdom, the Zelda game, Plucky Squire, UFO 50, Unicorn Overlord, and Space Marine 2. All super cool honorable mentions. Some of those are on our top 10, by the way, for each of us personally. And then our top 10 overall games of 2024. At number 10, we have Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Number 9 is Stellar Blade. Number 8 is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Number 7 is Banishers: Ghost of New Eden. Number 6, Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth. Number 5 is Dragon's Dogma 2. Number 4 is Neva. Number 3 is Astrobot. Number 2, Metaphor Refantasio. And number 1, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Guys, that's a good top 10. That's a really good top 10. I dig it. Well done.
Can I just thank you guys for humoring me with Final Fantasy winning 2 years in a row? Just thank you for that. Thank you. Appreciate
you don't get another one. You used up all of your.
Yeah. You know, this year.
Till part 3, right?
This year, I expected it from like when the game released. I was like, this is our game of the year. I can already tell. Like, it's already going to be. This year. So like this year, I expected it, and even as the year unfolded, we saw what we saw come out. I was like, man, this is just our game of the year. This is our group's game of the year, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Last year, I still am a little irritated that 16 won because it's not the best game of last year. But I digress. This Rebirth, though, I think absolutely
Wait, so what is last year's game of the year, Tim? Even though we're not supposed to talk about the year before, right? We're not supposed to.
I mean, I would have been much happier if Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, sure, but that's number 5 though.
What are we ripping my heart out right now? What's going
on? I'm just telling you. But also, Tears of the Kingdom, I thought was a vastly superior game to Final Fantasy.
I was going for Tears of the Kingdom because I thought collectively we would have all. I thought Jeff was the only stick in the mud about that, but then Dan had to come out of the turnbuckle and.
He's like, I don't know, guys. They said
stuff,
go this way, so I went that way, and I didn't like it that much.
Listen, in a couple of years, we'll circle back around. In a couple of years, when I finally finish it, we'll circle back around.
This year, there isn't a kind of like genre-changing game like Baldur's Gate 3. There isn't a Legend of Zelda that is like elevating everything they did in the previously best game of the Zelda series and Breath of the Wild. So like there isn't one of those this year. There's a lot of really good games.
I still don't know how they made Tears of the Kingdom.
I don't either.
I still don't know.
It's just sorcery, Kyle.
My son and I were talking about that today.
I honestly, I still don't know.
We were talking about that today, sorcery. And we were just kind of
pure magic. That game is pure magic, and I say that, and I mean every bit of what that word means. Like it was the most magical thing I think I've ever experienced in my life.
I agree. I totally agree. But that being said, not crapping on Final Fantasy 16. I just didn't think it was the best last year, but I did like it a lot. It was another one of those that we all loved and played, and so like, hey, it kind of landed its way. Mm-hmm. Guardians of the Galaxy style just kind of landed its way at the top. You know, it just kind of.
Dude, that game deserves so much more love.
I think Jeff, Dan, I think it was, like you were outnumbered on 16 as well, because like
I was
for me, Jeff and Dan, it was like top 2 or top 3. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got Dragon's Dogma 2 years ago.
Now I'm curious. I got Dragon's Dogma 2. Yeah. I got Dark Souls 3.
Yeah. Tim's got a record here.
I lost out on Elden Ring and some stupid. I don't know. I still don't know how that didn't win that game of the year.
Wait, Elden Ring won. Elden Ring didn't win game of the year?
No.
What won that year?
God of War Ragnarok.
Oh.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean,
but it's not the best game of that year. It's just not.
Of course it is. Of course.
No, it's not. Guys, I love God of War Ragnarok. Like
no one talks about it though. Isn't that weird? That game did just kind of come and go. Like where we talked about God of War, the first one. Because
God of War was like earth-shattering. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then the God of War Ragnarok was like, yeah, there's more of that awesome stuff that I loved.
Yeah, it got Spider-Man 2.
Dude, yes.
Yeah, I got Spider-Man 2.
Which again, I love the Spider-Man games, both of them.
Spider-Man 2 is a better game than Spider-Man 1, but it didn't splash as big because it lives in the same shadow.
Just like
Spider-Man
Ragnarok
created.
Is a better game than the first one as a video game, but
yeah.
But the first one just established some things.
Well, it was that jump, right, from the old.
It was the jump.
It was the maturation of like the series too, and the characters and everything too. Because I'm a character action game guy. I didn't grow up liking God of War. I thought those games were like annoying, to be honest. It's just like I scream.
Yeah,
they're cool, they're fun, you know. But like, I was missing some kind of like story structure that had an emotional weight to it. That
Can I tell you the games that I had above Final Fantasy 16? I'm going to make this about me for a second, okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you the games that finished above Final Fantasy 16. Ready? Here we go. Working my way up from 8 to 1 because it was number 9 for me on my list, which, by the way, it's in my top 10. It's like I hated Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
Basically
hated that.
Number 8, I had Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Number 7, I had Starfield. Number 6, I had Hogwarts Legacy. At Hogwarts Legacy at 6. I had Alan Wake 2 at 5. I have Hi-Fi Rush at 4. Spider-Man 2 at number 3. Star Wars Jedi Survivor at number 2, and Tears of the Kingdom.
I can't even get mad at that, to be honest. I don't agree with it, but like when you're saying it, like you like Spider-Man more than like that makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Like you liked some of the other ones that you said too. I'm just like, well, of course people like Starfield. I like Starfield more than.
I just liked it more. This wasn't me saying it's objectively a better game.
Yeah,
Starfield.
I might like Starfield more than Final Fantasy 16 as well. Just because. I don't know.
That's why, like Baldur's Gate 3, I barely scratched the surface of that game, and I still had it ranked at 11. Like I almost had it in my top 10 because it was that good. I had to like objectively like this game is so good, but it just did, it just wasn't my favorite. So this wasn't a list of like what games are good or bad. It was what did Tim like, and so that's just how it shook out.
Is, though, you gotta like go with your heart. You gotta go with Dan style. You gotta shoot from the heart.
I still love Jedi Survivor, man. Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
It's very good.
It's so much better. It got Spider-Man 2. That game got Spider-Man 2. I'm telling you, man. It's another game that came out that was so much better than the first one. Everyone was like, yeah, okay. Like a year, like
it
we're
literally did the thing that I wanted.
It did what you wanted.
We're out of the launch year of that game, and nobody talks about God of War, Ragnarok. No one talks about Star
Survivor.
Wars. Like, I'm telling you, it's like a year goes by, and like we're like, hey, who cares?
Yeah, those games go on like Jedi Survivor goes on sale for like $6, and no one cares. You know what I mean? Like it has these ridiculous sales where it just it's crazy. Yeah. But by the way, 2023. Now that I'm looking at it, that's a good gaming year, man.
It's a good gaming year.
That's a really good. I mean, that's a year where we had stuff like Lies of P, and we had Fire Emblem Engage, which I still didn't play enough of that one. Dave the Diver and Sea of Stars was that year. Like
Sea of Stars,
dude, what a good year of video games.
Good year.
Yeah, it was a very good year, and that's
as Fat Man would say, good year, right?
And of course, that's Diablo 4, right?
Yeah, that is right.
Octopath Traveler 2 came out that year.
Oh, so good,
dude. Speaking of Octopath, that dude, the video, the opera guys, he played Octopath Traveler 2 song, and I was just kind of like bouncing. I was like, yeah, it's so good, dude. That soundtrack is unbelievable.
It's so good, dude.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like it's almost illegal how good that soundtrack is. It should be illegal.
It's another game that was better than the first one, and now we don't talk about it anymore. Like
Kyle,
I'm really mad that
not
we just
wrong.
forget about games. Like
you're not wrong.
It makes me so. I feel like when we're talking about Red Dead, I like taking a walk down memory lane. So when somehow Tim and I pick up the same 90+ hour game at the same time, kind of crazy, you know?
Yeah.
Especially a game from 8 years ago or whatever, 6 years ago. It's like it's just nuts. But like I like that that game survived outside of its year. Like
right.
Yeah. I don't know. Does that happen anymore? Do we allow that? Like I don't
know. I do think
also there is a lot of games. Like so people probably just all right, next. All right, next.
It surprises me that games have a harder time staying in the zeitgeist.
Sure.
These days, like instant classics are harder to get made. It seems like
Yeah. Sure.
It's almost like you have to release a broken game and fix over 4 years to like keep a game saying Cyberpunk,
Well,
like
I mean, it's like you said,
Cyberpunk has stuck around, I think, only because like they fixed it for years after. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
It gets a pass because it was just in the news more.
But like you said, the short attention span, I think the TikTok era kind of ruins all that. People need that instant, like you said, that instant gratification. So,
well, you get serotonin from the, doing things that are new. You know what I mean? Like it's so I think people are just addicted to new. All right, next. All right, I'm done with that. Next thing, next.
Yeah, I agree.
It's true.
All right, guys. Well, before we wrap up with a little jam sesh of some fun music from the year, is there anything else from 2024? And I'm not going to force you to go fast. I'll just gently request whatever it is, make it quick.
She said.
But I really only have, I have one or two things, but I'll open it up to you guys first. If you've got hey, here's the 5 animes that I loved, or here's the 10 movies that were just my favorites, or if you have an album that just slapped and just hit whatever it was, anything. Maybe it's top 5 Nintendo Directs. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know if there even were more than 2, but what did you like from this past year that you want to give a little shout out to?
I'll go, and this is for Jeff, since he's not here. I'm just gonna do top 10 movies. I'm just gonna blow through my top 10.
Okay.
So at number 10, I have Late Night with the Devil. At number 9, I have The Substance. At number 8, I have Saturday Night, which is a movie that's based off of the hours leading up to the first airing of Saturday Night Live.
Oh, nice.
Fantastic movie. Long Legs is at number 7. Aliens Romulus is at 6. 5 is Monkey Man. 4 is Nosferatu. 3 is Civil War. 2 is Furiosa. 1 is Dune 2. All 10 of these movies are, if you break those down too, that's 5 horror movies in 1 year, which
good year for horror movies, man.
Never have had that happen in the 30 years I've been making lists. I've never had one genre take up the majority of a list like that. So if you like getting your spook on, there are a lot of choices this year. So
I'll fall right in line with that, because I didn't watch enough to give a top 10, but Dune Part 2 was my favorite movie I saw in 2024. I thought it was perfect sci-fi movie, good.
I think we get a movie like that once in a generation.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Absolutely. So I loved it, and I actually, with all the hype, was like, I'm gonna hate this, and I know I loved it.
I'm getting all
I even watched it a second time when it came to streaming, and I was like, I'm gonna hate it. Nope, I still love it. Okay, never mind.
Can I say? I've seen it 8 times.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine.
You know what?
It's
Not
worth
enough.
It's worth it.
Not enough.
So I'll start, since I don't have like a top 10, I will say number 1 for sure. And then my most disappointing movie had to be Gladiator 2. I'm not saying it's a bad movie.
I didn't love it.
I didn't like it.
I didn't really connect much to the movie at all.
Big shoes to fill.
I thought it was visually amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Ridley Scott knows how to direct a movie.
Yep.
The modern visuals were really interesting. The armor, all of it was very, very
Even
cool.
when they flooded the Coliseum and put sharks in there, I was like, I'm in, sure. Like
at first, whatever. I was like, this is so stupid. But as it played out, I was like, that's cool.
It's dumb, yeah. Christopher Nolan has a really good quote where he's like, it's the coolest thing you're going to see all year, and that's what movies are all about. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I get you.
Yeah.
But I didn't care about. The only character I cared about was Pedro Pascal.
Same here.
He got so little screen time.
He was the only person who had any character growth.
And his motivations were complex, and his like quiet thoughtfulness, as you could tell, he was torn with what he was doing. But with his, I was like, he's the next Maximus.
He's the real good guy. He is Maximus, but he is put at odds with the main character, and that is such a cool playground to play in that the movie was like, I'm not interested in playing with these toys.
That's what I thought too. I thought there could have been something interesting there. They barely had, and whatever. We don't have to dig into it. But anyway, that was my most disappointing one, by far. But I just wanted to match up with that. I've seen a few other movies new from this year that were fun. Good, like Fall Guy. I thought was a good time. It was a fun movie.
I haven't seen that. I want to see that. Yeah.
It's fun. It's on Peacock. I think Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt are just having way too much fun. It is a very fun movie.
Well, and I'm a big stunt. I like stunt work. I know it's a.
And you're gonna love
it.
Yeah. You're gonna love it. Yeah, it's very silly too. Like it's just a comedy, but it's it's fun. And then I thought Sonic 3 was surprisingly good. Going for the kids.
Like good things about that one, yeah.
Jim Carrey.
Hey, Jim Carrey is is awesome in it.
There's a whole dance sequence where it's him and the grandpa version of him.
Which is still him, right?
It's still him.
Yeah.
He does it's so fun. They're trying to get through this laser field, and so they decide to dance through it. It's so funny. It's so good. Like
makes sense.
I like that he's coming out of retirement to these like kind of dumb.
I know.
I do. Like
he keeps saying I'm gonna retire, and then he just doesn't.
He even said he's like I'm retired, but if they do Sonic 4, I'm back. I'm like, okay. I like that you love it.
Yeah.
This is like the most sequels he's done for one series, right? Like.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's the most he's done. Yeah.
So very, very fun. Really enjoyed that. So also Knuckles, Idris Elba kind of steals a lot of these scenes with his. They really do a good job of making him hilarious, but he's very funny.
What a perfect choice.
Yeah, I think so. As far as I had a similar list, but for TV shows, but now I can't find it. But I'll just tell you one off the top of my head. I know that I loved that was towards the top was Shogun. I thought Shogun was a wonderful,
so brilliant
series.
Oh my gosh!
Still need to see that.
Dan, you'd love it. It's so good.
Gosh, it's so good.
Yeah, I love me some samurai stuff.
And as soon as they, as soon as they start a build up for season 2, I'm absolutely rewatching season 1 and diving into season 2. So I can't wait.
If it ever comes out 4K Blue, I'm gonna I'll buy it. Like that's how much I like it. Buy it.
Anything else on your guys like stuff I loved in 24 list?
So I think I didn't have too many, but off the top of my head, so Bloomtown. I already mentioned Bloomtown. But that game, again, I'm really happy because I remember when I first saw that, I was like, oh, I really love the pixel art of this. But yeah, I think that one's really fun. Definitely worth checking out for sure. And I finished Attack on Titan, which I know.
Yeah.
Actually, it was last year that season 4, right? It was that
I think it was 23,
finished.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
was it 23?
I thought it was the year before. Yeah.
Okay. Well, either way, I finished it last year. So, but yeah, what a just ending. What a payoff of just all of that. Everything
so
building
happy.
Up and
everything just wraps up nicely. And
just
happy.
flowers.
Everybody's alive. Yep.
Everyone. Yeah. And they're all holding
Certainly
hands
alive,
and they're hugging and they're laughing. But yeah, like I remember when I saw season 3 and I was just because like season 2 I didn't hate it, but it's smaller and it just felt like it just didn't have the same oomph as season 1. And then you go into season 3, you're like, this is absolutely insane. And you finally get revelations and like payoffs and stuff. And then you go into season 4 and there's like this like shift of
I have never been so shook while watching it. I was just like, what am I missing?
Where are we?
Here? Like, where are we? Like, was there a time skip? Who are these people? Yeah. Like, but like not in a mad way. I was intrigued. Like,
right.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Intrigued, yeah. But like,
so you guys had mentioned that there's like, hey, there's some confusion. Just go with it. That helped me a lot to get through that.
I was
like, all right,
I'm gonna go with it. There to tell like it's gonna make sense because like I spent 4 episodes going. I don't
Right.
Am I supposed to be this confused?
So
like
I enjoyed it because I had that little thought in the back of my head, like, "Ooh, this is gonna make sense soon. It's gonna make sense soon," and it did.
And it does. And like, yeah, they're just the carrot on the string, because you think after the end of season 3, it's like, all right, well they like the big thing, the basement, and then you get to season 4.
You thought the basement was the biggest reveal. That's what's funny. It's all leading to this basement, and
I know.
like, the basement not important.
That's just the beginning. That's literally just the beginning.
Pandora's box, but like the reveals are inside the box.
Yeah. And just, oh man, and it's just so bleak and just it's just insane. It's just I wasn't anticipating some of the elements towards the end of season 4 of like, wait, you can do what? You can look where, how, why, what, and just all of that stuff happening towards it's just that horrifying nightmare situation. Everything
also,
happening at the end.
Enough time
absolutely.
To, also have a whole story about how like the Jaegerists are like, I was just the amount of like story they told, like in the time frame they had was the pacing was just so breakneck. It was so awesome.
Yeah. It was the most episodes that last season. So which I'm glad they didn't try to truncate, like squish everything down, because that would have sucked.
Finish the story, right? Like do it well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he got to redo his ending, and like it is now considered like the anime shows ending is better than the mangas, So that never happens, man. That never happens.
That's cool.
Right. It was like more fleshed out and more nuance with some of the stuff. So it's just crazy. So I can't think of anything else.
Well, I've got a list of my top old games I played in 2024. And my definition for old is anything that came out before 2024.
All right, yeah.
Technically it's old.
Sure.
So I at number 11, honorable mention, I consider it an old game because it pretty much is just a remake, and that's Mario vs. Donkey Kong. I was a little disappointed with that one. It was fine, but it was like I was hoping they would really modernize it, and it was just prettier, kind of same. Yeah. Felt like the Game Boy game or Game Boy Advance game, whatever. Tape to Tape. I played that on Jeff's recommendation. Shout out to our buddy Jeff. That is a hockey roguelike, and it kind of plays like an old Super Nintendo hockey game, sort of. But you upgrade your team and your players, and you get a few permanent upgrades for your next run through. And very kind of tongue-in-cheek, silly, but it is fun. It's a fun hockey game. So Tape to Tape's pretty fun with some RPG elements, weirdly enough. Gas Station Simulator. Kyle played that one this past year.
So good. I love that game.
It's really fun. It's really like the whole premise is so stupid, but whatever, man. I love it. Like when you get threatened and your uncle's bruiser shows up and like knocks you out or whatever. Like it's so silly.
Well, and they had that little kid who's going around like tagging your gas station over.
You have this dumb kid. You get and like as you're in the middle of like you got 5 cars in line. You got people at the cash register. You got things. You got cars to change tires, and all of a sudden you hear the kid like, and he's over there.
God damn it!
Come on! So you have to try to find something to go throw at him to get him to go away. But whatever.
Jesus,
what a silly game, and I really enjoyed it.
It's like broken too. Like it's so janky.
Oh yeah, it's very janky. But I loved it. Like in sprinting back to try to like take stuff off the truck onto the shelves.
It felt good when you hired someone. You're like, I'll never have to change tires again.
It does help a lot when you hire people. In that same vein, Contraband Police, guys, that's a pretty fun game. It really is. Like you are running what feels like a 1980s Russia-Ukraine style border. It's between some kind of Far Eastern European countries that are always at war with each other. But they have a lot of tongue-in-cheek humor too. Like they'll give you rules as each day unfolds, where it's like, hey, we can't let any cars with damage come through. We have this ambassador coming from this other country. We want all our vehicles to look good. So like you have to refuse any cars that have like broken lights or windows or whatever. So like they'll give you rules as the crossing guard border person. And then at one point they do have a thing where they have to prove they've been vaccinated of this. Very much looks like the name COVID, but it's not COVID. It says like Conid or something like that. So like, but they have to have an approved vaccination stamp, and if it's fake, don't let them through. Like they can't come through if they haven't been. So it's really fun. And then of course at times you have full-on shootouts. You'll have these guys that'll attack the border because they're like a rebel group, and you have to pick. Will I support the rebellion, which clearly they want you to kind of see as the good guys, or the mean government where are you a government man? So I went full government man. I shut that rebellion down.
Sure.
In my play. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I loved Contraband Police. I replayed through Might and Magic Clash of Heroes. Highly recommend that game if you like RPGs and puzzle mashups. Really great game. Might and Magic still holds up wonderfully. I played a lot of, but I'm so sorry, Dan, I didn't finish Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice.
Oh.
But I got way farther. Like I'm in like the back third of the game. So like the first time I stopped at Madame Butterfly, I was like, whatever. This time I studied it, I figured it out. She's actually not all that hard. Other bosses are way harder. So but
yeah, that game's pretty tough. That game is pretty tough.
But I love it. I have a new appreciation for it. And that's one of the things I learned as I played through all these old games. I've developed new appreciations for games that I either skipped. And so from here on out, it's all games that I kind of developed new appreciations for. Sekiro, absolutely. Hades, finally finished that game. New appreciation for the excellence that game is, including the music, by the way. Darren Korb is a music god. He's unbelievable. All of those games from that team, including Hades 2. He is so good. V Rising 1.0 launch. I am a new mega fan of that game. No Man's Sky. I cannot believe what they've done with that game. It's so good. I spent a lot of time playing it. Replayed Red Dead Redemption 1 Remastered and Undead Nightmare. Both of them all the way through. Didn't 100% them, but I played a lot of both. And
100%ing it at Rockstar Games impossible.
It's so crazy.
It's a lifelong journey,
Yes, you're right. Very true. But again, brand new appreciation for how excellent that is. I hadn't replayed the first Red Dead probably since it came out. So the first time I really dove back in. I replayed
it this year too, and I was just like, I was like, not only did it look great, it still felt great. Like the tenets of its open world are still the tenets we use today.
That's right.
And
the stories are good. Like the character cutscenes, I'm like, these are really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Holy cow.
Like they really. I mean, they still use that strange. I mean, in Red Dead Redemption 2, you go to like you wander across somebody. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that kind of started there. The GTA 4 kind of had it, but.
Speaking of the number one, by far favorite thing I'm replaying is Red Dead Redemption 2. I've been so lost in that game. I bought the PC version a long time ago, knowing I would dive in. I just didn't know when. So it's been sitting in my library. And I think over the last 2 months, I put like 90 hours into it. Like I'm playing it so much, like so much hunting, so much upgrading, and I am refusing to advance the story to the point where Arthur gets sick. So I don't want to do it. But
yeah, I don't want to get there.
Don't let it happen.
There's a part in that game where like it just kind of gets into a bummer vibe and never leaves that vibe.
Right. Once you cross that threshold, forever. It's better to finish it. That way you can get to the epilogue and kind of have fun again.
Epilogue is kind of a little more breezy.
Yeah. So anyway, those are my favorite old games I played in 2024. I guess Elden Ring kind of counts, right? Because of the DLC. But I already picked that as my favorite DLC. So Anything else you guys want to call out and celebrate before we listen to some
you know what? I kept forgetting to do, and then it just popped in my head. Linkin Park, literally for years and years, just because Chester is no longer with us, so they just weren't there to make music. They just didn't have it in their heart and their soul and their mind to make new music. And here they are. They're back again. 8 years, I think, with a new lead singer. And obviously, like we were saying with Rebirth, is also people have strong opinions about this band coming back with a new female lead singer. And
strong opinions are hot right now, Dan.
Strong opinions.
They're so hot.
You know what my favorite is? Well, it's Chester's not here anymore, so it's not Linkin Park. You should change the name.
Yeah.
So one person is not around, change the name of the entire.
Done this before.
Okay, guys, it's Pink and Lark. There you go. It's,
I don't even understand. What does it matter? What does the name of the band fucking matter about? It doesn't make any sense.
Here's my take on that. Are you in the band? You don't get an opinion.
Yeah,
basically.
You don't get an opinion.
Basically.
Yeah, are you part of the publishing studio, whatever?
Yeah,
are you?
Yeah. You don't get a say in this. Yeah, that's not.
I will say this, and this is super controversial. You guys just gave this advice a bit ago, and I know no one ever listens to it. You can, as a listener, if you want, just listen to old Linkin Park songs. There's a lot of them.
No, that's stupid, Tim.
You can do that.
No, it's not. No, you can't. You can't do that. You can't.
You can't.
You just can't.
I promise.
You just can't. But yeah, they.
Yeah, listening to music has never been easier. Just pull up Hybrid Theory.
I know, right?
Just come on.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think you guys are Linkin Park fans, or at least not as much as I am. Oh, are you? Okay.
School. The old school Linkin Park
stuff.
Old
school, yeah. The first 3 albums I thought were perfect albums.
I kind of fell off, so I haven't really tracked their last. Yeah, I didn't track.
I'd say their first 3 are definitely their best. So, for sure.
I didn't dislike their future. I just I don't know. I growing out of the band is not what I mean. I think my interest started forming into more like progressive rock, metal. Like I started branching out a little more, if you will. Whereas like back then, I was listening to like 5 bands, you know.
Yeah. Well, also they kind of did the same thing because it's like the first 2 albums are very similar, and then like Minutes to Midnight, which is their 3rd album, feels like it's almost like their first
their remix album as their. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Minutes to Midnight.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah. Reanimated or whatever. Yeah,
Reanimation.
Rap. Yeah, rap like.
Dude, which is there's actually some versions in Reanimation of their OG tracks in the first 2 albums that I like more than
My December is a beautiful song. It is way cooler. Whatever in the reanimated version. Yeah.
But yeah, Minutes to Midnight just felt like they grew up. There was still like the DNA there more or less. And then after that,
I wrote a whole paper on Linkin Park in my senior year.
Did you really?
Oh, did you? That's pretty cool. Awesome. I like that.
That's next episode. As Kyle brings back some high school assignments.
I'm gonna read my paper that I wrote when I was 18 years old, 20 years ago. Yeah, that's perfect.
But yeah, basically, bottom line, obviously, completely different human being. She's a woman. She sounds different. She is different. It is different.
Girl,
but like,
what are they allowed to?
I feel like the DNA of Linkin Park. Are they allowed to talk? I feel like the DNA of like the band and like what their sound is. When you think of like the first 2 albums, a lot of it I think is in this album. It's just. But it is ultimately overall different, and of course, not even just talking about her, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, and they made new songs with her in it, which probably fits her style a little more. You know, even though I know she works well with the old songs too. You know, I like that they gave the opportunity of the band to like create songs with the new.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, grow. Yeah, do it, grow. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good starting point. I think it's a good starting point. I'm looking forward to, like if she can evolve her screaming. And like what the next album will be if it is more
one thing about being into metal music is that you learn very quickly women know how to rock, dude. Like there are some fantastic like metal scream artists and just regular guttural art. Like there's a lot. They know what you just got to give them a chance, you know. You just got to
one of my favorite singers.
Got to open up your heart.
Lacey Sturm. She used to sing for Flyleaf, but now she's kind of a solo artist.
Yeah, Flyleaf.
That girl can belt it, man.
I like the chick from Paramore.
I'm so
Paramore.
She's so fantastic, you know.
Yeah, the Paramore singer. She's incredible too. I've listened to some of her live performances, and I'm like, holy cow, this girl's legit.
Yeah, she's the best. Yeah.
Hey, but listen, this is a good transition into listening to some music. But if there's another thing you wanted to highlight, I don't want to miss it. Is there anything?
Just right into music. Good transition. Good transition.
All right. Let's hold on to the transition. All right. Let me share my sound. I'm just going to share an image so we have something. I have to, if you guys are not aware, listeners or viewers, I have to share something on my screen in order to share my sound over Skype. So I'm just going to share the thumbnail that Dan.
Yes, he said Skype. We use Skype, guys. We're use Skype. So.
We don't have money, so that's what we use.
We're sponsored by Microsoft, so.
We are. That too.
Phil Spencer, actually.
That too. All right. So the guys threw me some songs. I added some too. I'm going to play a couple of them. And it's not really meant to be a quiz. But if you happen to know what it is, I'm curious if you'll recognize it as we play it. And let me know, please, if the volume is too loud. I know that sometimes I really mess up on because my, like what I'm hearing, I don't have it turned up super loud. So it sounds fine to me.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's like, with streaming, the most difficult thing always, whether it's day 1 or 2, 5, 10 years, is the freaking volume, is audio. It's always like the most trickiest thing because everyone's listening through different devices. Like the software you're using is all different. Like it's.
I agree. All right, so let's throw this out there. Oh, here we go. Don't know if you guys can hear this.
You can turn it up a little bit.
Okay.
Are we going off of the Spotify list first?
I'm not telling you.
Is that how you have to guess? Okay. You specifically, because I don't know what this is.
It's not ringing a bell.
So this is from the number 3 best game of the year, Astrobot.
Oh, cool.
This is Bot of War.
Oh, I can hear this thing now. Yeah, I can hear this thing.
Right here. You can hear like the guys chanting underneath.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, really, really good. Yeah. All right, I'm just gonna put on shuffle.
It's fun. It's fun having like a whimsical version of that. Oh well, this is Call of Duty.
Yeah.
This is the menu
Call of
music.
Duty.
Yeah.
But this is actually a song called "Raining the Fire" by Jack Wall.
I know
it's a really good song.
They whisper that song quite a few times in this.
Yeah. Dude, my wife at one point was like, I hate that you just let the song play because it gets stuck in her head.
It is. It's very catchy. Yeah.
It's a really good tune. Call of Duty always makes good music, and it's always orchestrated, and it really gets credit.
Yeah.
You both should recognize this. I know Kyle does. Dan, you should recognize this one too.
Oh, Star Wars, yeah.
Helldivers, right? This is K-Vesta's theme song. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is Star Wars Outlaws.
I love that little violin bit.
Boy, yeah, there's some stings in there that kind of sound like the Helldivers.
It actually does. Because I listened to the Helldivers 2 one too as well recently, and yeah, it's got some Star Warsiness to it. I will say Spotify has the lightsaber for the timeline when you're like listening to Star Wars music. It's a lightsaber for the little where you can scrub through songs.
That's pretty rad.
I really think that they did a really good job capturing Star Wars while making new music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a jam though. This is a jam. This is from Shogun Showdown.
Okay, I was gonna guess that or Prince of Persia.
Yeah, all of these songs have a great beat to them. Oscar D. Mondo Gameo. So sorry, I'm not good at these names, but anyway, he did all the music and it's amazing. So yeah, really good bops on that soundtrack. Here we go. This one is actually, if it's in the game, it's kind of hidden. It's mostly in the trailer and I think credits. For this game. See if, here we go. It's one of the best trailers. They really sold this game to me well when I saw this trailer during the Game Awards.
Banishers?
This is from Banishers, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, this is a fantastic tune. Again, if it's in the game, I can't picture where. It could be. But yeah,
you could definitely let them go longer too if you want, like the music. Because with video game music, we should be fine as far as like, YouTube probably.
Oh, okay. I was a little nervous about copyright, so you don't think they'll?
No, because like if I'm basing it off of streaming, like video game music is like totally like 99% of the time okay. Like this like
unless
random
it's Nintendo,
songs, like
no one cares.
Unless it's Nintendo, yeah, I was gonna say yeah.
And is the volume still okay for you guys? Can you hear me when I'm talking when it's on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This one's a little quieter right now, but it's just.
Yeah, I can jump ahead.
It's just the beginning of it, so.
It is. Most of these take a build.
Yeah, some of them do,
Here, I'll jump ahead. It is not.
Indiana Jones?
Nope.
No idea what this is.
This one only hit 50% of its expected sales.
Oh, Dragon Age.
Yeah.
Damn it.
This is the Dread Wolf song.
Oh, I'm the one who shared this song, yeah. Oh, I somehow didn't recognize it.
Yeah. Well, after a while, I've listened to a lot of these the last week or two. It does start to blend together, and I mean that in a good way. A lot of the music just has this cool swelling pattern to it, and I'm like, I don't know what game that's from.
With medieval fantasy songs, there is going to be a lot of crossover, right? So.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a village or a fight scene or something where you're listening to it on a loop, and it sticks with you and you can picture the game immediately, then it can be tough.
Yeah.
I'll jump ahead on this one.
Oh, gee, I wonder what this is.
I don't know. I've never heard this theme before.
This is so majestic.
Really is.
I gotta tell you something real quick. While I'm listening to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth music, which listeners, that's what this is from, it actually put me so much at peace with like, this is our game of the year as a group, because listen how good this music is. You know what I mean? It just put me at peace with it.
Well, this beginning, like the way that it kind of like crescendos there, like it gives you this feeling, like that feeling of like the Breath of the Wild, like running up to the hill and seeing everything in front of you, and like, oh, an adventure waits, like.
That's right.
A new beginning, like. It's just. It's
listen to that. Oh, that's so good. There's a reason why they go on concert with just that music, you guys.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Is it too loud? Is it all right?
No, I can't place this one either, but it's great.
Yeah, this music is wild. It's during a pretty wild fight, pretty iconic fight for this DLC that was very popular last year.
Oh,
Balatro. I got you.
You got it, Balatro. Yes. No, so this
Elden
is
Ring Balatro.
Yeah,
this is the Divine
Beast.
Like
a wild flute going on in the background every once in a while. That was.
Yep, and it matches with the boss. So it's the Divine Beast Dancing Lion, which is one of the more uniquely designed, I think, really awesomely designed bosses in that game. Where I don't know if you guys have seen, you saw it in the trailer at least, where he like picks up the lion head and it's like shooting ice.
Yeah, I've seen that first, but yeah, he's like the first one basically.
He's early on in the DLC. Yeah.
Yeah, he's creepy.
But the music gets because he kind of has a freak show circus vibe to him, and you're in an arena. The music kind of matches that, and it's very crazy. It's really well done. I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit, or maybe I don't need to. So pretty. This is actually a pretty epic moment towards the end of Neva.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Some major things are happening. Yeah, but Berlinist.
Yeah. Such a big orchestra for such a little tiny game.
I know.
It's a big, totally it's a big one.
Yeah. That game with no dialogue sure is moving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's something.
Very visual story.
All right, see if we recognize this one here. Is it too loud?
No, that's all right.
Okay.
I'm hoping you guys recognize this in another way.
I only do because of the comment section on this YouTube video.
Oh, okay. Let's see if Kyle can.
I can't. No.
No. So this is one of the boss battle themes for Fantasian, Kyle, which is Uematsu. But if you listen closely, you're getting vibes of Man with the Machine Gun.
Oh, okay.
From 8. Yeah.
Like straight up Man with the Machine Gun. Like da, 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 like that part there. Like that's very Man with the Machine Gun. Yeah. So
that's sick.
All right, here we go.
A mobile game got such good orchestrated numbers, you know.
God damn it. This mini shoot adventures?
This sure is.
Oh, good. Wow, good pull.
It just had that vibe.
Yeah, this is the overworld theme. Just as a quick, I won't circle back to this game, but
nice.
The boss theme sounds like this.
Ooh.
And then here's all the bullets start flying.
Yeah. Dude,
Come on.
Sick.
That's awesome. And then here's the final boss music. I love the fast organ sound.
Yeah, it's like it's chiptune, but you can like picture it like an orchestra just going absolute ham. Like
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super epic. And of course, I didn't really notice the music that much until I re-listened to it because it's very intense. You're trying to move around. You have these very small little windows where you're not going to get hit by the enemy's bullets. All right, staying on that same kind of vibe, but different game.
Balatro?
Yeah, this is Balatro. Yeah. Again,
this is kind of groovy.
Made by one dude, and I'm pretty sure it's the same guy who does the music. I don't think he outsourced the music, but I could be wrong. But yeah.
It's pretty chill. Yeah, it's pretty chill.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Ooh,
all right, here we go.
Yeah, that was good. Sounds epic.
Dude, oh my
this,
god.
Infinite 12?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
oh my god, is it?
Yeah, this soundtrack is awesome, this game.
Holy
like
shit.
Orchestrated choir, electric guitar, like they're doing all the sounds, baby.
Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure you're fighting Danny Trejo during this fight or during this song.
Stop it! Are you kidding me?
No, that's a total.
That's insane.
I'm absolutely telling the truth. Yeah.
That's insane.
Dude, that's so awesome.
Dude, I want to bust off some glow sticks right now.
All right, so this is one that I picked from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Oh yeah.
But what I wanted to call out about this, because it's a really long track, we obviously can't listen to all of it, but it shifts based on how your Queen's Blood match is going. So this is kind of the opening phase. This is the opening. This is like the regular play, neutral game.
Here we go.
This is what it sounds like, neutral game state.
Man, that is true.
Now, if you are at a disadvantage, it shifts to this. It's very subtle.
Yeah.
But there's a couple minors, a couple different chords in there, and then if you have the advantage, it shifts to something more like this.
Yeah.
Boy.
It's a little more victorious, but it's still the same.
I love this. Jesus.
Isn't that cool how the gameplay determines which version of that song you're going to hear?
Absolutely
insane. Yeah.
I love it. All right, let's jump over to, let's see here. Where did it go? Oh, here we go.
Dragon's Dogma?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. I had to, it's because there's a lot of the music, like, for the boss fights is similar to this. It's just epic awesomeness. So I was like, let me kind of sift through this. And this one stuck out to me. I was like, oh, this is a sick one.
It's a good one. It's the Griffin battle, fight and flight.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Yeah, I dig that one a lot. All right, let's keep going here. This is a Tim edition. It's a game we've already featured, so I'm sorry, but I just think when it really hits, it's awesome right here.
Well, Elden Ring, of course, right? So.
It is. This is Bale the Dread. It's a giant dragon. It's actually only got 3 legs. So he's like old and he's grizzled and he's almost fat. Like he's a super cool looking boss. But his music is epic and the battle is so epic too.
Is that where they curse you, Bale? Is that where that comes from?
Yeah, that's where that comes from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I've heard that clip.
Yeah. You know what's funny is most of the Elden Ring soundtrack, because I got it with the special edition, a lot of it is so ambient and it's beautiful, but it's like a lot of ambient stuff as you're exploring.
Yeah, just
when you get
wandering around.
And then when you get to certain boss fights at certain moments, then boom, it hits. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Oh, here we go. This gives me good feelings.
Ayuden Chronicle!
Yeah, dude.
Ayuden!
It's the whole opening.
I forgot about this one.
The whole opening sequence is so beautiful, and yeah.
I love this song. It's like such a hopefulness to it, because it's like they're like a resistance group trying to.
I mean, it's called Flags of the Brave, you know?
Yeah.
Which fits. I feel like this is the opening to an anime show.
Yeah. Forgot about this song. It's so good.
Yeah, it's really good. Later on in the song, it gets even better. Right there with the choir.
Damn!
Come on, that choir is great, right? And they're zooming in, they're showing you all the characters that are like coming in. Yeah.
Yes.
So good.
So good.
All right, this edition is a little bit of breaking the rules. Because it's an early access game.
Hades?
This is Hades 2.
Ooh, cool.
Okay.
I'm telling you, Darren Korb, he's done all their music. He's ridiculous.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. He rocks out in this soundtrack even more than Hades. But yeah, really, really good. Highly recommend, of course, that whole game, but the soundtrack is amazing.
Here we go. Kyle, you know this. You know this, Kyle. Dude, this song is absolutely insane.
Yeah. I'm glad you picked a more upbeat song because I picked a more like subtle song.
It's a good balance. It's a good balance.
So this is Metaphor Re Fantasio.
But like when it like takes a minute to get to the good part. Well, the whole thing's good, but like it's like you gotta let it like build to it.
This conductor is definitely sweating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, absolutely. All right, hold on. Okay, right at. All right, right after this part. The choir is going like full steam.
Yeah.
Full steam.
This whole game has such a vast, like a lot of different types of music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so insane. It just gets you so amped.
Yeah.
You just keep going.
We're gonna go kill, a god or something. You know?
That's crazy. That's good.
Jeez. Unbelievable.
I'm gonna skip ahead on this one. I think this one has a long build up.
Oh yes. Hold on. Back up a little bit, Tim. Back up a little bit.
The Stellar Blade.
Yeah, this is it's called Flooded what is it? Flooded
Commercial sector.
Yeah, this is my favorite song in the entire game. This song is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Very strong near vibes from this one.
Yeah, it's funny because I've listened to more hours of this soundtrack than I've played the game, so I like the soundtrack that much. Yeah, like it's very, very good.
Yeah, like right here where it just crescendos. It's unbelievable.
So eerie.
And this is while you're playing. This song's playing.
Yeah. And this is like a pretty small-ish section. Like you don't spend too much time in this section. I mean, you go back, but like this song is just such a vibe, dude. Like there's a lot of great music in this game, but
I like it.
That one's unbelievable.
This one I think I have to jump ahead for too.
Everything that sounds kind of like Indian or Egyptian or anything like I'm like Prince of Persia.
You were right. It is Prince of Persia.
All right. Well, I've guessed it too many times. I think I'm guessing again.
You're starting to feel racist.
Anytime you hear that like flute, you know what I'm talking about? That like almost like
Yes.
Indian, Arabic.
It sounds like it has an Egyptian vibe.
Totally.
Yes. But this is of course during a major battle, and it is the music just adds so much to the intensity of the fights. And it's throughout. Also, just play real quickly part of the main theme of it, which is really good.
But you said it's the guy from Ori, right?
This is Gareth Coker, yeah. But also a group artist, I don't know, named Mentrix has a few tracks that they worked on together and some that they're separately credited for. Mentrix is great. But yeah, this is the main theme. Very epic, very kind of...
Yeah.
It sounds like a film, honestly. But,
God of War-esque.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a really good job with this. All right, let's jump over here. I hadn't heard this until recently, and this is excellent.
What I thought was Helldivers earlier.
This is Helldivers 2. Yeah. Do you know the name of this song?
The main.
A cup of liberty.
A cup of liberty. Perfect.
Nice.
Very Starship Troopers theme. Very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a little mad that Square has not put out the full soundtrack of Rebirth for people just to stream.
Yeah.
Oh, I got the CDs, Tim. I got the CDs.
I'm sure you do. Who has a CD player?
Yeah, right.
My car.
My PC doesn't even have a CD drive, and I
know, right?
CD.
Yeah, I got like the 10-disc CD set of Remake and Rebirth.
That reminds me of a scene from Wedding Singer where Drew Barrymore is kind of like in this weird zonked out state. And her boyfriend, this is in the 80s, right? Yeah. He brings home a CD player. He's like, look, I got a CD player. She's like, do you
play a record?
Do you want to play a record? He goes, no, it's a CD player. It plays CDs. The way he says it is just so perfect.
Yeah.
CDs. Really, it plays CDs. I think I should jump ahead, but
It's Indiana Jones.
This sure is.
I was gonna say I'm starting to hear it.
Oh,
Yep,
Marion's theme. Oh, John Williams is the greatest composer to ever live. I know he didn't do this game, obviously, but he created Marion's theme.
A guy named Gordy Hab.
The fact that he could, they have found people who really know how to lock into that John Williams-y sound, you know.
So Gordy Hab has an impressive resume. He did the music for all the Halo Wars games and the Jedi Fallen games, Survivor and.
Oh wow, okay.
So Gordy Hab knows what he's doing, you know.
Good old Gordy.
Here's another one from Indiana Jones I thought was cool. So he does a good job with like action.
You could just close your eyes and almost picture this in one of the indie movies.
Absolutely. It fits perfectly. Yeah. It's so good. All right. Almost wrapped up here. And if I missed any that you guys want played, let me know. But there was a couple that I still want to get to here. Let's go with this one I thought was so cool. I hadn't heard this before until you guys sent it.
Oh, this song from Metaphor is so good.
Yeah.
Anytime you're getting really bad news, this song plays.
Oh, okay. I just love the piano.
I'm just a sucker for piano.
It's hauntingly beautiful.
It's like the one instrument that could play by itself and stand alone, you know? Like.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Yeah.
So haunting.
All right,
well, wow, that's really
check
terrible
this one out. This is another one that caught my attention. This is a game that after our conversations about visuals and now this, I'm going to have to play.
Yeah. Another song that's like, oh, we're going on an adventure.
Yeah.
What a magical
I skipped ahead and it gets really cool.
What is this from?
It's from Visions of Mana.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It's like the beginning, like green lush area that you experience, and like it's just like that's what you picture. You picture just some magical like green lush like field.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Really, really pretty. Good tune. Same with this one.
Oh, I know this song. Oh, is this Metaphor?
Nope.
What is this?
Legend of Heroes.
Oh, I shared this. Yeah. Why? I all the ones I shared I didn't get. Just FYI.
But listen to this, dude. This has got a nice jazzy sound to it.
And the whole soundtrack is like this. You know, like it's very mood, like not moody, but like I don't know, man.
It's snazzy. Snazzy.
I like it, man.
It sounds like they're playing the melody line that someone should be singing. That's why I like it. You know what I mean? It sounds like someone could be singing words to that.
So this game is incredible. And the second one's about to come out next month, and I'm like, I gotta beat this game. Stop dilly-dallying.
Whoops. Ah, yes, Tim. Yes. All right, let it build. Let it build a little bit.
Tell us what it's from,
you're gonna
Dan.
say it's Persona, but it's not Persona. Ready? You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Very Persona. This is Persona 3, 4.
It actually reminds me of that DS game, World Ends With You. You guys ever played that one?
Love World Ends With You, yeah.
I never got super into it, but it reminds me of music from it.
Dude, this song, and there's another one. I can't remember off the top of my head the name of it. I keep listening to this past week. I just keep listening to these songs. It's so good.
What is it?
Oh, it's from Bloomtown.
Ah, okay. Oh, this
from
is
Bloomtown.
Great. Yeah, this is super great.
I almost wish I shared the other one too, but like, yeah, it's so
this
Persona.
Is wonderful. Yeah, I really like this.
Yeah, it's excellent.
It's just, it's really good.
Yeah, good music
like
on Bloomtown.
It's crazy, yeah. I would have added a bunch of Persona 3 Reloaded music, but I forgot that came out this year. So just in your mind's eye, picture really great jazzy stuff here. So,
yeah.
Poppy
Oh,
stuff.
I forgot to play this one. We already played a song from it, but I forgot this one. It's also really good. Skip ahead a little bit here.
Oh, Neva, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the other standout ones, yeah.
Yeah, really good music, and it just fits so well with what the story is, and with the visuals that you're seeing too.
Yeah, that's a tense moment there.
Yeah, really good. I already played one from these two, but I forgot I'd added 3. So these are worth just quickly showing you how awesome the music is from Shogun Showdown.
Oh, I like this.
Yeah.
Little digital rain going on in the background.
It's really good.
It's like crunchy, but like good crunchy.
So that one's from the Spirit Gateway. I think it picks up, adds another layer.
Ooh.
This is good too, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the same song, just later on in the song, they just add layers to it.
Builds and builds.
So here is the actual song. It's called Shogun Showdown. It's actually the final boss music right here.
Little metal.
Yeah.
There.
Metal Samurai.
Yeah,
so good tunes in that Shogun soundtrack for sure. Now, I don't know if either of you have played this game at all, but it's worth highlighting just because the music is truly impressive. My kids played a lot. I have yet to play even one round of it.
Oh, is it from Marvel Rivals?
This is Marvel Rivals, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That's pretty sick.
I mean, that's good music, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which isn't a surprise. They, of course, busted out all the
They got the money. Yeah.
Yeah.
They sure do. All right. I think that's most of it.
Oh, there was one more, Tim. Or at least there's one that I didn't hear. Live stream.
Oh, yeah. I've got that. Hang on. Where did it go? Oh, it's on YouTube. Okay. There we go.
This was when this song hit, so it's when you find the crystals, right? You find one of the live stream crystals out in the environment. And just simplistic, very simplistic, but absolutely beautiful. Just pure beauty. Makes you think stuff. Think about your life.
People in the comments are saying, like, I listened to this when I watched the solar eclipse. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But like
pretty good.
But like when I heard this, like it actually made me tear up because this is the song that's you guys remember the scene in OG when you get to Bugenhagen and he brings you into that observatory.
Oh, the observatory. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's showing you all the planets and like what's going on with the live stream and what it is. Like this is that song, but obviously it's orchestrated and it's like, just even more, going on. It's just, I don't know, man. I love that scene in OG because I love that song, but I also love that scene. And this is just unbelievably beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, a lot of good music from this year. So many good tracks to dive into. And what I like too is, like, I never would have listened to a song from The Legend of Heroes, for example, or Bloomtown. But I'm like, dude, these soundtracks are incredible.
It's kind of crazy, right? Yeah, it's kind of crazy that gaming has become like the one stop for like all types of art. You want it visual, you want sound, like it's got everything.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's so much good music exclusively coming out of video games, stuff like from Neva, stuff like from Journey back in the day that won Grammys, like who knew when we were listening to Nintendo songs with chiptune 8-bit songs that we were going to be listening to fully orchestrated, beautiful, emotionally moving pieces of work,
right.
Like it's just so nuts to me.
I love it. I also love that we got to pause for the last few weeks and celebrate 2024. Really, really good year. But guys, 2025 is already almost 1 month in the books for 2025 as we are here at the end of January. So next week when we get together, we're going to be talking about our most anticipated games of the year. And that's just based on like what we think is coming out this year. Maybe if it has a release date, that's great. But if we think it's coming out 2025, we're going to each bring our lists of most anticipated games of the year, as well as anything else that we missed from January. Next time we record, it will be February. So we will talk about the month that was January and then start looking ahead. And I'm very excited to do so. But this has been fun. I always appreciate and enjoy our game of the year times. It kind of just feels, it almost feels like a a way to celebrate a holiday. It's like, yeah, let's just pause and look back and
I like it. Yeah.
Have fun. So I enjoy it.
And we also wait for the entire year to finish, unlike some people.
Like, I mean,
even though a lot of us squandered that extra time, so did it really help?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Hey, listen. We all make choices. We make the choices,
We all make choices. But
Some
anyway,
of us
thank
skip
you.
Dragon Age. Other of us skip Indiana Jones. Like it is what it is.
It's true. But thank you all for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed. Let us know what you think about best overall game of the year, best music. What did we miss? I'm always happy to listen to other tunes as well. So if you've got some, send them our way. I'd love to take a listen. But thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye.